Chapter 1201, Self-Created Combat Skill, Heavenly Dragon Sword Manual. 2. Overall, the most significant benefit for Levi was the increase in his maximum spiritual force by 10 points. This meant that his success rate for advancing his primordial soul in the future had increased by another 1%. It might seem trivial, but each instance was a substantial improvement. With the combined effects of 3 Earth-grade oddities, Levi's success rate had now risen by an additional 4%. It was worth noting that the success rate of some ordinary primordial soul breakthrough potions was only in the single digits. After assimilating the oddity, he disguised himself as an ordinary wizard and explored the sea continent. Without the oppressive influence of top-tier wizard organizations, ordinary wizards struggled to thrive. There was chaos, fighting, factions forming, and constant intrigue. Levi sighed, realizing that humans could never seem to escape this cycle. Every time one obstacle was overcome, new challenges arose, and the cycle repeated. Those once oppressed could eventually become the oppressors. Overall, Levi preferred resources in the hands of ordinary wizards rather than concentrated in the top wizard organizations. In his weaker days, Levi had been oppressed many times by the Thunder Dragon family. Of course, Levi had no dealings with these individuals. He had little interest in the remaining resources on the continent. Moving forward, Levi aimed to continue refining his breathing techniques, pushing more into the 4th transformation of the blood source realm. Additionally, he had pinpointed several resource point locations through the flying scythe beast. These places were all inhabited by creatures of level 5 or higher. Near one such resource point, the flying scythe beasts had even spotted a colossal octopus with tentacles spanning over 1,000 meters, likely a legendary creature known as the deep-sea giant demon. It was a genuine level 6 entity. Throughout Nora's history, some mortals and apprentice wizards had witnessed the terror of these giant demons. In his early days, Levi had acquired a tome titled Siren Breathing Technique. It potentially originated from a deep-sea giant demon. Within a 10,000-kilometer radius of the deep-sea giant demon, Levi had designated the area a forbidden zone, strictly off-limits. The year 1176 of the Holy Brilliance calendar, month of beginning. Year 11 in the Dark Ancient Tower calendar. The 75th Round Table meeting of the Twilight Knights convened. During this session, the Twilight Knights filled their remaining 3 vacancies. After over a century of diligent preparation, last year marked a historic occasion with the emergence of 4 level 1 knights. Following a competition that resulted in the elimination of 1 contestant, 3 finalists were chosen. They were the Bear Mountain Knight, Snow Dragon Knight, and Pheasant Knight. Bear Mountain and Snow Dragon Knights practiced strength-type breathing techniques, while Pheasant Knight focused on speed-type techniques. Though their breathing techniques were not of perfect grade, their exceptional talent and dedicated cultivation led them all to successfully advance to level 1. All 18 knights sat with utmost seriousness, including the long-absent Flower Knight. Levi looked at the assembled faces and remarked, "Everyone, being one of the 18 Twilight Cavaliers is not just a title but a symbol. In the days ahead, I urge each of you to continue striving towards higher goals. Also, remember to cultivate diligently, as your position could be at stake at any time." Understood. Bear Mountain Knight, Snow Dragon Knight, and Pheasant Knight sensed the urgency. The other knights had already distanced themselves significantly from the Holy Temple's average level, minimizing their risk of elimination. Therefore, the focus of concern truly rested on them. The primary agenda of this meeting was to welcome new members. There were no major issues to discuss. Afterward, the Flower Knight requested a private audience with Levi. "Good evening, Commander. I'm glad to see you safe and sound. Are you worried about me?" 100 Flowers smiled, teasingly. Levi chuckled. "Yes, but I care deeply about all our members. Getting back to business, I'm here to update you on recent developments." "Please, go ahead." The Letney family sent a primordial soul wizard to take Sorit into the Thunder Pool secret realm. I've managed to sneak in as well. However, this secret realm is vast, and saturated with elemental lightning power. I can't fully utilize my strength here, and it seems unlikely that I can snatch anything from the Letney family, who are so deeply rooted. Understood. Your priority is your survival. Save Sorit if possible. If not, let him go. Don't waste too much time on this. Don't worry about me too much. I've already gained quite a lot from the 7th level. This journey hasn't been in vain. And by the way, thanks for giving me the key to enter. How are things going on your end?" "It's going fine. Levi wasn't just fine. Since entering the ancient tower, he had already refined two truth oddities. Along the way, he had turned trash into millions and amassed countless resources. Of course, these were details outsiders wouldn't understand. By the way, Commander, I almost forgot to mention something. I have some friends from the Panda Plane who have also entered the ancient tower. They're those adorable bear men's. If you encounter them, help them as much as you can. If you find yourself in trouble, they'll surely lend a hand, the Flower Knight said. Got it. After a lengthy chat with the Flower Knight, she logged off. When will I achieve primordial soul? Levi sighed suddenly, returning to his solitary routine of cultivation. Chapter 1202, Self-Created Combat Skill, Heavenly Dragon Sword Manual. 3. Time passed in cultivation. Unknowingly, 4 years had passed. Year 1180 of the Holy Brilliance Calendar, Month of Flowers. Apart from the annual roundtable meeting to understand the situation in the outside world and the ancient tower, Levi spent most of his time on the island cultivating. This year, Andrew had become a second circle wizard, living up to his title as the Children of the Earth element. The Black Knight, who had entered the first circle wizard realm earlier than Andrew, was now barely a senior first circle wizard. The difference in wizard talent was evident. Andrew's night cultivation was also nearing level 2. Levi was very optimistic about Andrew's potential. This guy had hopes of becoming his true right-hand man. In the past 4 years, the Black Knight and the Saint Ape Knight had also entered the second transformation of the Blood Source realm. The Silver Dragon Knight and Dark Moon Knight, from the middle generation, were not far from reaching level 3. The new generation of level 1 knights was working towards level 2. In the past 4 years, with the improvement of the knight's theoretical system, the increase in practical experience, and the rise in numbers, the Holy Temple had produced several level 1 knights. Levi no longer paid much attention to these matters. With the senior knights handling things, the Holy Temple's affairs didn't need his intervention. In the past 4 years, the ancient Saint Plane had been living in seclusion overseas, undisturbed. Occasionally, some ignorant wizards or foreign races would accidentally enter their array and be easily killed. In the Nightmare world, his subordinates grew in number. They had already discovered some traces of the Nightmare Dragon clan and were searching for their exact location. Once the Nightmare Dragon clan was found, Levi would personally enter and subdue them. The Dark Ancient Tower had been open for 15 years. 15 years was neither long nor short. The chaos on the 4th level of the Ancient Tower, particularly in the Sea Continent area, has largely settled. Thanks to the efforts of the Dragon Abomination and Mistress Rose, these rogue wizards have managed to gain some rewards, ensuring they won't leave empty-handed in the future. Of course, the top-tier wizard organizations outside were gnashing their teeth in anger at Dragon Abomination and Mistress Rose. So many resources had gone to the nomadic wizards, which was infuriating. Normally, even if these resources were destroyed, they wouldn't be given to nomadic wizards, as that would only strengthen unstable elements and threaten their ruling positions. After 4 years of cultivation, Levi had become even more reserved. He gradually shed the arrogant aura of the Dragon Abomination. At this moment, he was on the beach, facing the sea, practicing his sword skills. His sword skill had only one form, called the Undying Dragon Slash. This was a level 4 sword skill he had learned from the Headless Swordsman's Undying Slash a long time ago and combined it with his ideas. And now, he had cultivated this sword skill to the point of perfection. In the past 4 years, he had been researching sword skills even more powerful than Destruction Sword Chi. During this period, he finally made some progress. He alternated between using Destruction Sword Chi and Undying Dragon Slash, constantly experiencing the changes and mysteries of these two sword skills. In the end, his two sword skills became more coordinated. He was so engrossed that he practiced his sword day and night. To the extent that he forgot about cultivating his meditation art and breathing technique. In his heart, there was only the sword in his hand. Unknowingly, Levi suddenly had an epiphany. As he continued to comprehend and explore the sword skills that suited him, he felt a sense of familiarity. On the proficiency panel, Destruction Sword Chi, Undying Dragon Slash, and the combat techniques Levi had learned and created with other members kept flashing and changing. Sword techniques don't have to be limited to form. They should be more suited to my will. The myriad changes of sword skills are only to express the will in my heart with my ultimate strength. I'll break the shackles and cut off all things that don't fulfill my wishes. My will is a dragon. Dragons are the incarnation of power, the strongest creature, the end of myths. After some time, the Crimson Emperor dragon power in Levi's body suddenly gushed out and fused with the long sword in his hand. Accompanied by a dragon's roar, an illusory red dragon slashed out. The dragon, engulfed in flames, charged into the sea with an indomitable momentum. He had perfectly combined his sword skill with the Crimson Emperor dragon breathing technique. This sword slashed out with the insufferably arrogant aura of the Crimson Emperor dragon. This was a sword of extreme strength. The momentum was overwhelming, Mount Hua splitting force, opening slash. Boom! Wherever the Crimson Emperor dragon sword chi passed, the sea in front of him suddenly split open, revealing a path to the sky. It was wide and expansive. White mist rose, the seabed was exposed, fish were boiling, sea beasts scattered, and after 1,000 feet, the sword chi finally stopped. Levi gently waved his hand, and the sea water that had been split apart once again gathered together. That strike just now didn't use the power of the 6 heavenly gods, nor did it have any augmentation. It only relied on the pure power of the Crimson Emperor dragon and the power of the sword skill itself, but it was at the level of a 5th-tier combat skill. After cultivating for more than 100 years, I've finally created a sword skill that matches my strength. Although it's only one move, it's completely enough. This sword skill has a lot of room for development in the future. If there are any new sword skills in the future, we can incorporate them into it. Why don't we just name it the Heavenly Dragon Sword Codex? As for the first move of the Heavenly Dragon Sword Codex, what should we name it? Crimson Dragon Roar? It feels so old-fashioned. Levi, struggling with names, fell into deep thought. His sword skills had already broken away from the constraints of this world and had become somewhat freeform and expressive. Chapter 1203, Self-Created Combat Skill, Heavenly Dragon Sword Manual. 4. He thought hard and said, this sword has fused with the true essence of the Crimson Emperor dragon. It's like a dragon soaring in the sky, dominating everything. Let's call it Crimson Dragon in the Sky. Levi sheathed his sword, feeling another significant leap in his strength. By combining the characteristics and concepts of the other 5-dimensional breathing techniques, Levi could continue to create more sword moves. The Heavenly Dragon Sword Codex would become a continually evolving sword skill, perfectly suited for Levi. Levi opened his proficiency panel. All the combat techniques he had previously learned had been integrated, forming the Heavenly Dragon Sword Codex. Levi. Heavenly Dragon Sword Codex, Level 10, 1/200,000. Special Effect, Heavenly Dragon Sword Intent. Heavenly Dragon Sword Intent, the dragon travels through the 9 heavens, its intent lofty and profound. You can comprehend the essence of the giant dragon, using your sword to unleash the divine might of the dragon. Your understanding of sword skills surpasses that of ordinary people. I've already embarked on a completely different path of the sword. From now on, I will be the leader of the Heavenly Dragon Sword path, even if it's just me, Levi mocked himself. In these 4 years, besides comprehending the Heavenly Dragon Sword Codex, Levi's breathing techniques had also improved. Although the Golden Snake breathing technique still lacked the Earth Dragon clan, it could be cultivated with the Dragon Turtle, albeit slower than if both elements were complete. The Crimson Emperor Dragon and Sky Dragon breathing techniques were steadily improving but were still far from reaching level 16 perfection. Levi estimated that he would need to be a 5th circle wizard to reach level 17. There was still a long way to go for the Scarlet Dragon and Inferno Dragon breathing techniques to reach level 16. He could only polish them slowly. Regarding the path of the wizard, among the 6 innate spells, only the 6th innate spell, Ice Dragon Prison, was not yet perfected. Levi was not in a hurry. After entering the ancient tower, he had not used his wizard abilities for a long time to maintain his dragon abomination persona. In fact, with his current strength, he did not need innate spells to defeat his enemies. Levi looked at the sea and muttered, it's time to go to the sea to collect resources. However, before that, I'll try my luck with the Lover's Rune. Metaphysical beliefs are quite useful. Levi immediately entered seclusion mode. On the island, Sawkins was counting the fate coins hidden in his stomach over and over again, his eyes intoxicated with pure love for money. On the other hand, the Dragon Turtle was diligently cultivating under Levi's successful motivation. As a mixed-blood dragon, it was different from the mixed-blood dragons. Most mixed-blood dragons were merely waiting for death, with few inherited secret techniques. The Dragon Turtle knew that although it had a long lifespan, its growth was slow. Thus, it was determined to work hard from the start. Other transcendent creatures on the island were also growing. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed, and the month of winter arrived. On the island, Levi broke out of seclusion, his aura soaring. Ha ha ha, the lover's rune is now at level 6. With a 50% increase in luck, I don't believe I won't gain anything from this trip. Levi, using metaphysical beliefs to motivate himself, left the island. Dark Ancient Tower. 5th level. One of the intersections, the Plains of Youth. This area was controlled by a nation that worshipped the goddess of youth, known as the Banyan Empire. In the center of the nation, there stood an ancient banyan tree, as tall as a mountain. At the base of the tree, there was a tree hole. Passing through it led to the ancient banyan fairyland, where one could meet the goddess of youth. According to legend, the goddess was immortal and resided there year-round. In the fairyland, there was a spring called the Spring of Youth, also known as the Spring of Immortality. The Spring of Youth had life-prolonging effects. A mortal who drank a sip would stay forever young, 2 sips would extend their lifespan, 3 sips would ensure a century of life free from illness or disaster. On this day, a group of uninvited guests arrived at the Plains of Youth. One of them had a proud and aloof expression, wearing a white robe with a tornado embroidered on it, with a white dragon swirling in the wind. This person had a pure white horn on his forehead. He rode a giant purple wolf, which, although called a wolf, was covered in dragon scales, had horns on its forehead, wings on its back, and a head that was a hybrid of a dragon and a wolf. This sub-dragon species, the thunderstorm wolf dragon, was comparable to a primordial soul wizard. Riding such a creature marked him as extraordinary. He was the hidden ace of Hurricane Sky Island, the Sky Dragon Wizard, Cyrus. He rarely fought, so his ranking in the ancient tower was not high, far inferior to the Fire Dragon Destroyer, but his true strength was unknown to all. Open the passage to the ancient Banyan secret realm, Sky Dragon Wizard ordered indifferently. Lord, isn't this risky? What if we anger King Banyan? Just do as I say and stop talking, Sky Dragon Wizard replied coldly, frowning. His subordinate, not daring to delay, quickly flew towards the tree hole. The ancient banyan tree stood quietly, its branches swaying gently without any other movement. Lord Cyrus, the entrance to the secret realm is open, the man reported happily after entering the tree hole. Then go and retrieve the Spring of Youth. Let's see if it's as miraculous as the rumors say. If it can extend the lifespan of wizards, it would be an immeasurable fortune, Cyrus said calmly. After the wizard entered the tree hole, he arrived in a secret realm. Towering ancient trees filled the area, streams gurgled through the forest, and on the distant horizon, there was even an endless sea. He carefully navigated through it. At the center of the secret realm stood a simple and unadorned hall. Chapter 1204, Self-Created Combat Skill, Heavenly Dragon Sword Manual. 5. I found the Spring of Youth so easily. Why do I feel that something is wrong? In the middle of the hall, there was a pool of water, and clear spring water flowed out of it. A naked girl with fair skin and a graceful figure was bathing in it. She held an ancient golden holy grail in her hand, which was carved with giant trees and dragons, looking extraordinary. Excuse me, are you the goddess of youth? I wonder if you could let me take some of the Spring of Youth. As a price, I'll pay you something. Wizards did not believe in gods, the so-called goddess was just a creature of a higher level. You should leave. This spring water is only useful to mortals. It's useless to a spellcaster like you, who has already achieved the sublimation of your life level, the young girl said. I understand. What if I want to bring some out? I didn't mean to disturb you, but I was ordered to take some out, he said with a bitter smile. The girl thought for a moment and then said, how about this? 10,000 ether stones can be exchanged for a cup of the Spring of Youth. The wizard's face lit up with joy. Thank you. Just 1 cup, please. He took out the ether stones and made a deal with the girl. After the transaction was completed, he left in a hurry. The girl sat by the pool, her beautiful little feet swaying. Outside. The Sky Dragon Wizard looked at his subordinate who had returned. Did you get it? He asked. I got it. Just as you guessed, Lord. This thing is only useful for mortals. Its effect is similar to some potions in the wizard world. There's nothing particularly special about it, he said. The Sky Dragon Wizard took the spring water and looked at it carefully. Are there any other special treasures besides this? Just a girl whose background I couldn't see through, and a holy grail. Holy grail! The Sky Dragon Wizard muttered. This holy grail should be a treasure. However, he looked at the towering ancient banyan tree and felt a faint pressure. He suppressed the greed in his heart and sighed. Let's go. This place is not fated for us. At this moment, countless branches suddenly extended from the ground. In an instant, several wizards were pierced through, their force fields shattering like paper. Only the Sky Dragon Wizard let out a roar, and a tornado enveloped him, blocking these attacks. Interesting, you can block my sneak attack. A tall and graceful figure appeared. Her wheat-colored skin was particularly eye-catching. It was Rose, who had entered the 5th level. The thunderstorm wolf dragon under the Sky Dragon Wizard suddenly shot out thousands of purple lightning balls, turning the place into a sea of lightning. He turned into a half-dragon man, dominating the storm. Boom! After the earth-shattering blow, Rose's expression remained unchanged. Amidst the dust, a bolt of lightning quickly escaped. The Sky Dragon Wizard knew he was no match for Rose and had already fled. Rose didn't chase after him. She turned around and smiled. She looked at the silent Queen Banyan and said bitterly, I told you, I would come back. A young girl's phantom appeared on Queen Banyan's surface. She said calmly, you can still be resurrected after 30,000 years of death. As expected of the elven mistress that was split from the Pandora divine tree. Unfortunately, 30,000 years later, I have already advanced to level 6. You are no longer my opponent. Rose, give up. I don't like fighting, and I don't want to kill you. Hand over the Holy Grail, and I'll leave, Rose said coldly. The girl sighed. The Holy Grail is not fated for you. Don't even think about it. Even if I gave it to you, it would be useless. Many wizards stronger than you have come here before, but they all left in the end. Rose's long hair danced behind her, and her aura reached its peak. You say you're at level 6, but I don't believe it. You're just an ordinary banyan tree. How could you have advanced to level 6? You're just bluffing. The next moment, she attacked the ancient banyan tree. The ground split open, and a huge black pillar suddenly rose. To be precise, it was the aerial root of the banyan tree. The aerial root was like the whip of the earth. When it swung, the void shattered, and the white clouds in the sky were torn apart. Boom! As if the pillar supporting the sky had collapsed, Rose's 5th circle perfect attack was shattered. She was split in two and flew backward. Don't force me to kill you. I told you, I don't like fighting. Rose spat out blood, her face pale, but her body had already recovered. She looked at Queen Banyan and said unwillingly, I'll come back. The girl looked at Rose's back and said faintly, don't come anymore. Next time, I'll kill you. Rose. She caressed the Holy Grail in her arms, and a calm voice suddenly came from the Holy Grail, this elf woman is persistent. The year 1181 of the Holy Brilliance calendar, month of grass. On the 4th layer of the ancient tower. In an ocean abyss, Levi sensed a level 5 presence here and guessed there was a resource point. His hermit rune flickered, and he had already arrived on the seabed. This place was filled with strange plants that emitted fluorescent light. Fluorescent grass, highly toxic, but a precious grade 5 medicinal herb. It's the main ingredient of the demon soul potion. There's a 2,000-year-old one. This is a grade 6 medicinal herb. Levi was in a good mood. With this, he was only missing the last main ingredient for the demon soul potion. The other materials were all ready. As far as he knew, the last main ingredient was distributed on the 5th level. At this moment, a pair of huge blue pincers appeared in the seabed, followed by a pair of eyes that looked like searchlights extending out. As the ocean currents churned, an enormous, blue-green creature with huge claws, a lobster appeared. Chapter 1205, Self-Created Combat Skill, Heavenly Dragon Sword Manual. 6. Why does it feel like this lobster is Sawkin's good brother? Levi's expression changed, and he quickly left the seabed. The blue lobster's tail thrashed, chasing after him like a cannonball. Levi dared not act here. He was afraid of damaging the medicinal herbs. Come and chase me. He casually threw a jet black flame at the lobster's hard shell, leaving no marks. Soon, Levi leaped out of the water. A sense of crisis hit him, and his body flickered, disappearing from his original spot. The lobster's massive pincers broke through the sea surface, clamping down on his former position. Boom! Shockwaves swept through. Waves emptied. Good power, but unfortunately, you lack compared to Sawkins. What's your name? If you're willing to follow me, you can avoid some physical pain. Otherwise... Oh, you dare to attack me. Looks like you're tired of living. Today, I'll teach you how to respect the strong. Let me show you what true strength is. Levi tried to persuade it to surrender but was blasted thousands of meters away by the lobster's high-pressure water cannon from its mouth. His overlapping black scales, surrounded by black flames, he flew over cursing. Go to hell! The spiked club collided with the lobster's massive pincers, a purely physical attack, straightforward and unadorned. The lobster and Levi were sent flying far away. In front of the lobster, Levi's body appeared very small, but his strength was strong. This kind of fist-to-flesh battle made Levi's excited. In the end, without relying on the 6 heavenly gods, Levi managed to shatter the lobster's shell, causing its juices to flow out. Are you convinced? If not, let's fight again. However, I'm drawing my sword next. Levi laughed wildly, stepping on the lobster on an island. He pulled out the crimson dragon slash from within, the long sword emitting black flames, pointing it at the lobster with an attitude of "Who dares challenge me?" The lobster's strength was inferior to Sawkins, barely reaching level 5. Perhaps because it was a shrimp soldier, while Sawkins was a crab general. Moreover, this lobster didn't seem very bright, unlike the tactful Sawkins. Levi wasn't in a hurry. He suppressed it and sat cross-legged, his long sword stuck into the ground. I'll let you get up when you're ready to obey me, he said calmly. The lobster's endurance was far below Levi's. Before long, it gave up struggling, allowing Levi to control it. In this way, after being suppressed by Levi for a month, the lobster had no choice but to lower its proud head and submit to Levi. That's right. In a while, I'll take you to find your relatives. As the Dragon King, how can I not have shrimp soldiers and crab generals under my command? With Ratty, even the dragon turtle will join. Levi began to fantasize about using these extraordinary creatures to build a dragon palace. Once he became stronger, the Dragon King would patrol, and the shrimp soldiers and crab generals would follow him. Wouldn't that be splendid? After harvesting the fluorescent grass from the seabed and confirming there were no other treasures, Levi mounted the giant lobster and gave its rear a pat. From now on, I'll call you Pixar. Let's go, Pixar. The lobster was crushed by reality, and reluctantly became Levi's steed. During this period, Levi embarked on a treasure-hunting journey in the boundless sea. During this time, he encountered 3 resource points, each seemingly guarded by level 6 sea beast kings. If it were anyone else, diving in head first would mean certain death without even knowing how. Luckily, Levi had a danger perception, allowing him to avoid them one by one. Medicinal herbs and ores became increasingly abundant. His biggest issue was no longer the scarcity of resources, but the lack of portable space for living creatures. Otherwise, he could have taken away some rare large-scale plants and sea beasts to nurture them in the ancient Saint Plain. In these 6 months, upon reviewing the projection replays, Levi noticed another detail. The battles involving him, the lobster, and other level 5 creatures weren't projected outside. However, when Sawkins fought the Shadow Circle, there was a projection. Both are level 5, but on the 3rd level, Sawkins is considered a boss-level creature by the ancient tower. Anyone fighting Sawkins in the tower can be projected. However, the level 5 lobsters on the 4th floor aren't bosses. As the levels increase, the requirements to be a boss also increase. It's estimated that only those with 5th circle senior strength or above qualify as bosses on the 4th floor. Lobsters are at best elite monsters. Understanding this, Levi felt more at ease. He didn't want others to see him bullying these adorable transcendent creatures. If his future disguise were to be exposed, his image in the giant beast paradise wouldn't collapse. During the month of flowing fire, Levi arrived at the final resource point. Islands dotted the sea ahead. Each island emitted black smoke, rising into the sky. From a distance, it appeared as a continuous smoky chain. The Fire Beacon Islands. Here, the fire element is rich. There might be fire element medicinal herbs and resources. Following his routine, after danger perception confirmed no level 6 existence, Levi cautiously entered and began his search. Sure enough, these islands were rich in resources. Levi harvested resources like a whirlwind, taking the larger pieces and leaving the smaller ones. He followed a sustainable development approach, careful not to disrupt the ancient tower's ecological balance. In addition to herbs, there were precious fire elemental metals that he collected. Finally, he reached the largest volcanic island. The intense heat here forced him to assume his flame dragon's true form. The lava spewing from the volcano wasn't just red but a scorching golden hue. Golden blaze. These flames only appear in places of level 5 underground fire, with temperatures too high even for 5th circle wizards to linger. This place is perfect for refining my nightmare dragon divine weapon. Levi decided to forge his 6th divine weapon here. But before that, I have to deal with that big guy inside the volcano. His figure flickered, arriving high above the volcano. Below lay a sea of molten lava, within which sat a fiery red toad exuding a formidable aura. The toad's body was gaseous, its eyes fixed on the sky, its form tense as it croaked, seemingly threatening intruders. A level 5 fire elemental spirit. Judging from its aura, it is slightly stronger than a phoenix. But no big deal. My fire element resistance is sufficient. Just as Levi prepared to act, a fiery red figure resembling a baby appeared in the lava below the toad. Its eyes were alert, hair sparse, face swollen and ugly, mysterious runes shimmering on its body. Hiss! Its flame ghost's kiss. A sky-level truth oddity, very rare on the 4th layer. What a find! It's a good thing I cultivated the lover's rune to level 6. Chapter 1206, Refine Fire Ghost, Strength Increases, Phoenix Enhances. 1. Flame Ghost's Kiss. Perhaps due to its extreme rarity, there were only brief descriptions of this truth oddity item in the compendium. This oddity could only possibly be found in lands of underground fire rated above level 5. Looks like metaphysics still has its uses. Levi quietly departed from the airspace above the volcano. The fire elemental spirit likely sensed his presence but was overly confident in its strength. Being in the level 5 underground fire environment provided the perfect opportunity, so it did not attempt to flee. The flame ghost's kiss moves extremely fast. If I were to strike directly, it might dart into the labyrinthine underground fire tunnels like a game of whack-a-mole. Catching it again would be quite troublesome. A sky-grade oddity was not the same as an earth-grade one. Even a 4th circle wizard could easily handle an earth oddity. Carelessness could see a 5th circle wizard let a sky oddity slip away. Thankfully, I'm an array master. This isn't too challenging for me. After mastering the 6th circle array, Levi's array skills became increasingly adept. Immediately, he devised a new 4th circle array and deployed an alarm array around the islands to prevent their escape. It appeared the two were in a symbiotic relationship. The fire elemental spirit sheltered the oddity, while the flame ghost aided the elemental spirit's growth. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. Levi was patient. He could wait 3 years for an earth-grade oddity. For a sky-grade oddity, even 10 years would be worth the wait. In the Holy Brilliance calendar year 1182, during the month of beginnings. It marked the 17th year since the Dark Ancient Tower had opened. In addition to his research on arrays, Levi also logged into the Tea Time Round Table and convened the 81st Round Table meeting. The Flower Knight was absent. She was likely deeply engrossed in planning for the Morning Star level oddity. This Morning Star level oddity lay within the lair of a level 7 Thunder Elemental Lord. It mirrored Levi's situation with the Flame Ghost's Kiss, both guarded by formidable elemental spirits. Levi harbored some concern for 100 Flower's safety. A level 7 Thunder Elemental Lord represented a genuine 7th Circle Wizard. After all, the individual strength of elemental spirits on average rivaled that of wizards. However, if 100 Flowers had agreed, she surely had a strategy in mind. Levi could only silently pray for her safety using his lover's rune. Recently, Andrew had ascended to the level 2 knight. He reported his years of research findings on talent brands to Levi, which proved exceptionally extensive. This left other knights feeling humbled, realizing there were significant disparities between individuals. Some were destined to be geniuses beyond the comprehension of ordinary folk. At present, level 2 brands had become commonplace among official members above that rank, spanning several dimensions of breathing techniques. Unlike wizards' standard spells, knights' brands were fewer yet more refined, akin to wizards' innate spells. Talent brands primarily served as complements to combat techniques, compensating for the limitations of knightly methods. For knights, combat techniques remained their foremost means of attack. After passing the test in the Holy Temple, a level 1 knight who had mastered a level 1 combat technique and possessed 3 level 1 imprints had combat capabilities that were not much inferior to those of a senior first circle wizard. Knights excelled in explosive power, endurance, and fault tolerance compared to wizards. However, they were easily outmaneuvered in terms of mobility. If a knight wanted to attain blood chi wings, they needed to achieve a level 2 standard. Level 1 blood chi simply couldn't support such a transformation. It was a matter of trade-offs. There was no such thing as a perfect profession. Wizards had already been developed for so long that their superiority was evident. The fact that knights could reach this level was a testament to their determination to catch up. Their rate of development was comparable to the Industrial Revolution in Levi's previous life. They were making progress every day. As the commander, Levi was very pleased with everyone's current state. He once again advised the knights to develop steadily and maintain a low profile. After the meeting ended, Levi resumed his tasks. After more than a year of research, he had devised an original array for this hunting expedition. Underground Fire Origin Magnetic Vein Sealing Array. Before him were numerous array items resembling earth spikes. This array had a single function. It could temporarily close off underground fire channels within a specified range and seal them. With this, Levi could capture the flame ghost's kiss without any concerns. Let's begin. Levi intoned the incantation, and the earth spikes before him promptly burrowed into the ground, encircling the largest volcano. These earth spikes resembled nails driven into underground blood vessels, effectively sealing the volcanic earth veins. Rumble. This array involved altering the terrain, so it naturally caused a significant disturbance. In the volcano's crater, the flame ghost lazily lay on the flame toad's back, basking in the sunlight. As an oddity born in this world, the flame ghost had already sensed the changes in the earth's veins. It leaped off the toad's back and plunged into the level 5 sea of underground fire, swimming toward the extensive passageways. For an ordinary wizard, failing to land a blow meant losing the oddity they had captured. Fortunately, Levi was an array wizard. Boom! All the array entrances emitted a powerful repulsive force, forming a magnetic field. Before the flame ghost could approach, it was repelled by the magnetic force field. Swiftly, it flew towards the flame toad. The flame toad opened its gaping maw and swallowed the flame ghost. Inside the toad's belly, the flame ghost felt a newfound sense of security. Chapter 1207, Refine Fire Ghost, Strength Increases, Phoenix Enhances. 2. At this moment, it finally identified the mastermind behind all this. In the sky, a colossal black scale giant. To ensure safety, Levi immediately unleashed his ultimate form, the three-headed dragon god. Simultaneously, night fell, and the hunt commenced. The strength rune inside him flickered, activating the forms of the giant dragon warrior and the furious dragon lord. From the heavenly dragon sword codex, the first stance, Crimson Dragon in the Sky. Levi, akin to a true Crimson Emperor dragon, cleaved with an unrivaled strike. A dragon-shaped sword light tore through the fabric of heaven and earth. The volcano trembled continuously as the flame toad opened its mouth, its belly swelling like an inflated pufferfish. The surrounding magma visibly receded. Boom! Its breath was lightning fast. Sword chi clashed with its breath. The entire giant volcano cracked in various places. Not bad, you big toad. Your strength isn't inferior to those wizards. I need talents like you to follow me. Levi began to persuade again. But this toad was fiercely stubborn. If it were Phoenix, it would have surrendered by now. Its belly swelled even more, lurking in the sea of fire, pulsing as if performing toad arts. Behind its rear, countless streams of flame tails shot out, transforming into streaks of light that swiftly approached Levi, its gaping maw intent on swallowing him whole. You beast! The three-headed dragon god's black flame shield blocked in front of Levi and struck out. The flame toad, struck by the shield, tumbled into the volcano. If it weren't for my concern about damaging the oddity inside your belly, I would use the 3000 wind thunder feather blades to obliterate you. After a few exchanges with Levi, the flame toad realized it was outmatched and dived into the sea of molten lava. It never to emerge again, as if mocking, "Come down if you dare." Levi sneered. Enveloped in black flames, the three-headed dragon god descended into the sea of molten lava. With my level 4 flame dragon's true form, while my fire elemental resistance may not match your innate fire creature, it's more than adequate to handle you in the blink of an eye. In truth, the best way to combat a fire elemental spirit wasn't through the physical attacks of the Path of Knights but the Path of the Wizard. Using targeted spells would suffice. However, Levi's Path of the Wizard, at the peak of level 4, was less effective than physical attacks. Moreover, his attacks were infused with blood essence, capable of harming any specters. Rumble. The three-headed dragon god and the flame toad battled in the sea of fire. The blazing fires engulfed them, shedding the dragon god's scales layer by layer, turning them into ashes that regenerated. The entire sea of fire churned as Levi had an idea. The cloak on the three-headed dragon god's back fluttered and extended longer, swirling like the armillary sash, probing into the surrounding ocean. Thus, a dragon whirlpool formed, the surging sea flowing back into the crater. The sea of fire vaporized the sea water, white fog billowing into the sky, clouds gathering and thickening. The power of a level 5 underground fire was immense. Ordinary water couldn't quench it. However, the sea water flowed endlessly, steadily weakening it. The flame toad, caught within, also felt its effects. The three-headed dragon god wielded its long sword, seizing the opportunity to cleave off the toad's head. Despite relying on its fire elemental body, the toad wasn't gravely wounded. Yet, its form grew fainter, a result of the genuine harm caused by blood essence. Meanwhile, the fire ghost within its belly exploited the chaos to escape into the lava. Discovering that one of the sealed earth vein entrances had opened, it panicked and darted inside. In the next instant, 3,000 feather blades materialized within the earth vein, swirling around and ensnaring it. Though possessing some spiritual wisdom, ultimately, it's just an oddity, Levi sneered. The 3,000 feather blades brought the fire ghost before him, which he promptly seized. With no hesitation, the three-headed dragon god cast a sinister grin towards the flame toad. If it refuses to obey, then destroy it, Levi remarked coolly, lifting the oddity and departing. Though he could have vacated the scarlet contract slot of the 9 infant, Levi chose to reserve it for the 5th layer, where he could contract a genuine expert. He no longer had any interest in ordinary level 5 prowess. The three-headed dragon abomination and the flame toad clashed fiercely amidst the lava. From all directions, the giant dragon sword chi coalesced into the crimson dragon in the sky. The sword chi enveloped the flame toad, which stubbornly chose annihilation over submission, repeatedly cleaved into pieces by the dragon abomination's sword chi. Its true soul dispersed, transforming into an unconscious ball of fire elemental essence. This ball of fire elemental essence compressed continually, eventually forming a scarlet bead suspended in the sea of fire, tranquil and unmoving. The three-headed dragon god grasped the bead, presenting it before Levi. Is this a grade 5 fire elemental core? Levi held the bead, sensing its incredibly dense and pure fire elemental power. Undoubtedly, whether for crafting artifacts or refining medicines, it was a superb grade 5 material of immeasurable value. Upon reflection, elemental spirits and the amethyst race are fundamentally similar. Both are elemental beings, born with true souls and endowed with intelligence. The distinction lies in the amethyst race's higher rank, Levi mused. Sensing movement from the Book of the Undead, he released Phoenix. The fiery bird fixed its gaze on the bead in Levi's hand, flames shaped like drooling saliva flickering. On account of your years of exceptional service, I can reward you. However, persisting with these schemes poses a problem. Chapter 1208, Refine Fire Ghost, Strength Increases, Phoenix Enhances. 3. Levi spoke calmly, idly playing with the fire elemental core in his hand. This thing is certainly not as useful to me as it is to Phoenix. After self-destructing, Phoenix had fallen from level 5 to level 4 despite recovering to the pinnacle of level 4 after a prolonged period. Advancement to the 5th circle remained elusive. However, devouring this bead would likely make reaching level 5 much easier. Hurry, give it to me. The mighty flame avenger Anveda needs it. Phoenix wanted it desperately but also hesitated to fully submit to Levi. It circled him, rubbing its head against its leg. Levi remained unmoved, watching Phoenix quietly. Ultimately, she seemed to reach a difficult decision. Simultaneously, a surge of contract information flooded Levi's mind. An elemental spirit contract? I knew this creature had been keeping secrets, Levi sneered inwardly. This elemental spirit contract was initiated by the elemental spirit itself. Once signed, the spellcaster could call upon the spirit, and both parties were unable to harm each other. It was an equitable arrangement. Some wizards from the elementalist school often summoned spirits for battle using such contracts. Make a change. From now on, you're on standby 24/7. Otherwise, forget about this bead. I won't even give it to you if I discard it, Levi calmly stated, reviewing the contract terms. Phoenix seethed with anger, trembling with fury as cold waves rushed through its mind. How can such a shameless, greedy, and repulsive human exist? Fine, I'll make the change. To restore my strength, I'll endure this. Besides, my lifespan far exceeds his. When he dies of old age, this contract will naturally dissolve. Then, I can soar freely under the vast sky and across the wide sea. Phoenix, convincing itself, quickly revised the contract terms. Levi nodded, signed the contract, and then tossed the fire elemental core to Phoenix with a smile. My greatest virtue is honesty and trustworthiness. I never deceive anyone. Reluctantly, Phoenix nodded and swiftly swallowed the fire elemental core, beginning to refine it using its divine fire. Please reach level 5 as soon as possible. Don't let my fire elemental core go to waste. Levi placed Phoenix in the level 5 underground fire, aiding her recovery. After completing these tasks, Levi retrieved the flame ghost's kiss, which struggled in his grasp. What an unsightly little thing! Levi subdued the flame ghost's kiss and commenced its refinement. No task was more crucial than refining an oddity. The Black Thunder Wizard was a cautionary tale. If he hadn't refined it promptly, he would have died with regrets. It was undeniable that refining a sky-grade oddity was troublesome. Levi could typically refine significant Earth-grade oddities in about half a year. However, refining the Flame Ghost's Kiss took him a full 3 years. His current level was too low. If he were a 5th circle wizard, he would undoubtedly progress more swiftly. In the secluded volcano, Levi immersed himself on the edge of the level 5 underground fire. He used this method to accelerate the refinement of the truth oddity. He had stumbled upon this by chance. Had it been in a typical place, refining it would have taken over 5 years. Eventually, the small entity transformed into a red flame, drawn into Levi's mouth and nose, entering his mind. Simultaneously, his entire body flushed red. Magma-like blood oozed out, causing him to feel a hint of pain even with his strong will. Hiss! This flame ghost's kiss unexpectedly has a small effect of tempering the physique. Truly deserving of its sky-grade oddity status. If an ordinary wizard were to refine it, they would benefit immensely. Unfortunately, I am both a knight and a body refining wizard, so this physique tempering effect is somewhat insignificant. A month later, Levi's body had already solidified into scabs. The translucent scabs enveloped him like a giant blood-red egg, standing silently on the shore without moving. Several days passed, and with a burst of momentum, a fiery dragon claw tore open the egg of the beast, and the scabs fell to the ground. From within emerged a sturdy figure. Levi felt a transformation akin to being reborn, deeply moved. This flame ghost's kiss is incredibly potent. In the divine ring tower within his mind, another 18 spiritual stars had inexplicably condensed just now. This meant that the flame ghost's kiss had saved Levi nearly 4 years of arduous training. Yet, this was not its most extraordinary function. Thump-thump sounds came from Levi's belly as if a fetus were gestating and could no longer contain itself, hitting Levi's abdomen. His belly began to throb, his face reddened, sweat pouring like rain. Levi opened his mouth, and a fiery red light emerged, coalescing into a flame person a short distance away. The figure was only 3 feet tall, resembling a halfling. His appearance was that of an 8-year-old human child, albeit with a disproportionately large head resembling a doll, giving it a slightly eerie and terrifying look. If one probed with spiritual force, they would discover that this small person was a living, flesh and blood human. Sitting cross-legged on the ground, his eyes tightly shut. The small person remained motionless for an unknown period before finally opening his eyes and smiling. The most formidable ability of the Flame Ghost's Kiss lies in birthing an external incarnation within the body, known as the Flame Ghost Avatar. This Flame Ghost Avatar outwardly appeared human but was a natural fire element entity. Like the fire elemental spirit, it could utilize elemental conversion to evade numerous injuries, boasting exceptional resistance to fire. Chapter 1209, Refine Fire Ghost, Strength Increases, Phoenix Enhances. 4. Apart from that, the Flame Ghost Avatar could also cast all the non-body tempering techniques Levi had mastered, albeit with some distinctions. When casting spells from the Burning faction, it could benefit from the Fire Ghost's fire element body, making its power even stronger than when Levi cast it himself. When casting ice and water spells, which countered fire spells, the power was slightly weaker compared to Levi's casting. For spells from other factions, the difference was negligible compared to Levi's casting. The flame ghost avatar itself had no consciousness. It merely served as Levi's second body, akin to Levi's creation, the Deep Blue Sage avatar. However, unlike the Deep Blue Sage avatar, which could only cast body tempering techniques and not innate spells, the flame ghost avatar was the opposite. If the Deep Blue Sage avatar was a body tempering clone, then the flame ghost avatar was a spell-casting clone. Furthermore, the Deep Blue Sage avatar couldn't stray too far from Levi. Otherwise, it would collapse and return to Levi's body without his control. In contrast, the flame ghost avatar could be controlled by Levi's will, even if separated by thousands of miles or across different realms. If the flame ghost avatar perished, it wouldn't affect Levi's main body, it would only consume a fraction of Levi's spiritual force source. For Levi, who was wealthy and powerful, replenishing this with potions was effortless. After death, the flame ghost avatar would reincarnate within Levi's body. After a year of gestation, it would be ready to emerge anew. Levi watched the flame ghost with fascination as if observing his child. "This is extraordinary!" Both Levi and the flame ghost avatar exclaimed simultaneously. Then, the flame ghost avatar ascended into the air and reached the surface of the sea. In an instant, the diminutive figure pointed a finger, summoning a crimson divine dragon nearly 100 meters long. It roared through everything, exploding on the distant sea's surface, with flames billowing and seawater vaporizing. The power of the crimson dragon's scourge has increased again, now rivaling the lower limit of a fifth circle spell. That's the might of the flame ghost avatar. Following this, Levi commanded the flame ghost avatar to cast Thunder Dragon Flash, Wind Dragon Sprint, Earth Dragon Barrier, and other spells. He observed their power, which was no less than his own. Simultaneously, Levi noticed his spell power starting to diminish. So that's it. The flame ghost avatar can cast fire spells without consuming spell power. Its internal strength is sufficient. However, casting spells from other factions, that requires using my spell power through the flame ghost avatar at a distance. I'm certain primordial soul experts will cherish this oddity. Just this external incarnation feature alone qualifies it as a top-tier sky-grade oddity. In some ways, the flame ghost's kiss surpasses most Morning Star-level truth oddities. Such an oddity capable of spawning an external incarnation is exceedingly rare. Ha ha ha, I've truly stumbled upon a treasure. Lover's rune, you didn't deceive me. Levi looked up to the sky and laughed heartily, relishing this feeling he hadn't experienced in a long time. He continued to experiment patiently with the flame ghost avatar's capabilities. Setting up arrays, crafting weapons, and refining potions posed no challenges. This was a budget Levi that could be controlled remotely. The reason it was considered budget was because the flame ghost avatar couldn't utilize Levi's night and body refining wizard techniques. Night's techniques stemmed from Levi's flesh and blood body, preventing any connection with the flame ghost. Nevertheless, this significantly boosted Levi's power. He could already envision numerous uses for the flame ghost avatar. Exploring perilous secret realms, forging new identities. Once he reached the primordial soul stage, he could even send the flame ghost avatar on interdimensional travels. Levi could simply stay at home, waiting for the flame ghost to return with treasures. If the avatar perished, Levi only needed to wait a year to birth another. Of course, it was preferable not to perish. Otherwise, the flame ghost avatar's equipment would be forfeited and irretrievable. The more Levi pondered, the more exhilarated he became. Despite his lengthy tenure in the ancient tower, all combined gains paled in comparison to the flame ghost's kiss. It truly was an invaluable treasure. With a thought, the flame ghost avatar transformed into a streak of fiery light and melted into Levi's body. Apart from its ability to spawn avatars, the flame ghost's kiss also harbored several relatively conventional functions. Firstly, it amplified the potency of fire-type spells. The recent fire dragon tribulation owed its formidable might to this enhancement. Secondly, it directly bolstered Levi's spiritual force by 18 points. Thirdly, it expanded Levi's maximum spiritual force by 30 points. Of course, these three functions were mere byproducts of the flame ghost's kiss. Much like how the scythe's breath primarily controlled the flying sickle beast, the flame ghost's kiss engendered avatars. Levi extended his hand and rested it on Klein Crystal Ball. Spiritual force, 520/570. Spell power, 26,000. Without the truth oddity, my spiritual force would already have reached the perfect fourth circle. No, it would exceed that, already reaching the level of the fifth circle. Levi chuckled wryly, torn between pain and joy. He was now just 50 points shy of perfecting his spiritual force, which meant a decade of cultivation. If he advanced to the fifth circle with his current spiritual force and underwent crystallization, his likelihood of ascending to the primordial soul in the future would increase by an additional 7%. Essentially, it was like consuming an extra potion to break through to the primordial soul. Moreover, breaking through the 500-point threshold in spiritual force held another advantage. It meant Levi's pharmaceutical skills could also ascend to the realm of the fifth circle. This made refining a breakthrough potion of the fifth circle a feasible prospect. Chapter 1210, Refine Fire Ghost, Strength Increases, Phoenix Enhances. 5. I knew it all along. This fourth level is so vast, how could there not be good treasures? Those folks rushing to the fifth level in panic, without any luck, their hauls aren't even close to mine. I'd rather be ahead of the game than a latecomer. It was now the year 1185 in the Holy Brilliance calendar, during the month of Vitality. It marked the 20th year since the opening of the Dark Ancient Tower. As Levi knew it, the fifth floor was a complete world, its area comparable to a medium-sized plane. On this level, there were numerous level 6 indigenous strongmen like Rose. The ancient tower's order keepers only restricted foreigners, not natives. Therefore, there was no rush to enter the fifth level. Levi arrived at level 5 Land of Underground Fire. He activated his flame dragon's true form and stood amidst it. Within the underground fire, a black substance was being seared by the intense heat. This material was the toughest on the man-faced spider, which Levi called the Nightmare Carapace. In this land of underground fire, Levi laid down an auxiliary smelting array. Now, with the underground fire and the array, materials could be melted automatically without his intervention. After over 3 years of melting, half of the carapace had liquefied. Another 3 years were estimated to complete the process. Levi planned to incorporate some rare metals he had accumulated over the years, using the Nightmare Carapace as the primary material to forge the Nightmare Dragon Divine Weapon. Back at his shelter, Levi continued his cultivation. Months later, from within the volcano's crater, a resounding cry echoed. It split through clouds and rock alike. In the sea of fire, a phoenix with wings spanning 100 meters and a phoenix tail burst through the lava. It soaked skyward amid a meteoric shower of flames, a sight akin to a divine marvel. Levi's expression softened with satisfaction as he beheld the fire phoenix. Who else but the phoenix? Ha ha ha, I am Anveda, the Flame Avenger. I'm returning to the realm of level 5. Fire. The phoenix rejoiced, rousing the volcano into a turmoil that seemed on the verge of eruption. Its exuberance dimmed abruptly when its proud gaze met Levi's icy stare below. Damn it, why did I ever agree to this spirit contract? However, upon reflection, even if it hadn't been signed, advancing to level 5 still wouldn't match Levi. The flame toad was a cautionary tale. It was better to endure and bide its time. You're still firmly under my thumb. Levi grinned. At the sight of the phoenix, Levi's thoughts turned. Now with my flame ghost avatar and this level 5 phoenix, there's no need for my avatar to wait idly here while the divine weapon finishes forging. Why not dispatch it with Phoenix to the 5th level first? They can collect the final main ingredient of the 5th circle meditation potion, Devil Blood Grass, and explore the 5th level. Meanwhile, I'll continue in hiding on the 4th level as the Dragon Abomination. This way, I'm safe and the 5th level exploration isn't delayed. With that thought, he opened his mouth and spat, and the flame ghost avatar appeared in front of him. Levi retrieved a storage ring. Inside were a 5th circle wizard tool, the secret fire sphere, the Azure Sky secret sword, a stack of potions for restoring stamina and spell power, and various emergency supplies. Then, Levi called Phoenix over and said, "Transform into a toad." Phoenix was incredibly reluctant. It inwardly crushed, "I've just returned to level 5, and now you want me to be a toad? How can I endure this injustice? Well, if I must." In an instant, a large, red toad engulfed in blazing flames appeared. Its belly was visibly swollen from frustration. Next, the flame ghost avatar retained its form but took on the appearance of a doll with a skyward braid. "From now on, you shall be the Holy Infant Wizard, and that fire elemental toad will be your mount." The Holy Infant Wizard smiled, speaking in a childlike tone, "Off I go." With that, the Holy Infant Wizard stood on the toad's head, transforming into a stream of fiery light that disappeared into the horizon. Levi watched the Holy Infant Wizard depart. In his mind, on the walls of the Divine Ring Tower, scenes of miraculous projections began to appear. This is from the Holy Infant's perspective. This way, I can control it remotely while I cultivate, traveling far and wide without leaving home. This is how a true master carries himself. The Holy Infant Wizard's strength was already nearly that of the fifth circle, coupled with Phoenix, now back at level 5. They should be able to firmly establish themselves on the 5th level. Now, let's continue with our cultivation. Levi sat cross-legged, taking out a black lightning ball. Now, I'll refine this black oblivion thunder. In addition to exotic thunder, there were also unique flames and divine waters. Some wizards held these items in high regard, going to great lengths to acquire them. However, Levi took a more natural approach and didn't actively pursue them. But if he came across them, he certainly wouldn't let them go to waste. His meditation technique flowed. The ether meditation art encompassed all things, allowing him to refine any elemental attribute. Refining the black oblivion thunder was effortless. 1 month later, at the teleportation portal entrance, a male and female wizard were attempting to break through. They were nomadic wizards from the burning school of thought. They were also partners. In front of the teleportation portal, they were battling a group of elemental water spirits. Pierre, hurry! I've managed to subdue the level 4 water element. You go in first. The witch's face was pale, clearly exhausted. This level 4 water element was a senior level challenge, especially underwater. Given the circumstances, their burning school of thought background made this encounter particularly challenging. Chapter 1211, Refine Fire Ghost, Strength Increases, Phoenix Enhances. 6. No, Rosie, let's go in together. The handsome wizard stopped, looking at his partner behind him. You go in first. Don't worry about me. No way. The two wizards were caught in a tangled argument. At that moment, a faint voice came from the sky. Stop dawdling and get out of my way. A red toad, burning with flames and exuding an overwhelming presence, appeared in the sky like a demon. Is this a 5th level fire element? As wizards of the burning school of thought, Pierre and Rosie dreamed of having their fire element, even a level 3 one. Lord Fire Element, we'll move aside now, they said, stepping back from the passageway. What Lord Fire Element? I am the Holy Infant Wizard, and this fire element is merely my mount. A 3-foot-tall boy with a braid, dressed in red robes, shouted from atop the flame toad's head, finally catching the attention of the two wizards. Pierre and Rosie were stunned. Is this a wizard? Even an 8-year-old looks more mature than him. However, the spiritual force fluctuations of his 4th circle perfection level were undeniable. He must be a wizard born with a disability, unable to grow, like the red-haired ghost child from the Fire Bull family. In a world where strength was respected, appearances didn't matter. Spells could always change one's appearance. This wizard had tamed a 5th level fire element, indicating he must be the prodigy of a significant organization, not someone to be trifled with. The Holy Infant snorted and ignored the two. He sat on the toad's head and closed his eyes to meditate. He didn't need to lift a finger to pass through this stage. In the passage ahead, water elemental spirits began to appear. The toad's eyes showed a mocking glint. It opened its mouth and spat out a breath. The surging golden flames formed a river, evaporating all the water elements along the way. In an instant, the seabed whirlpool dried up, leaving a lone teleportation portal. Such power in a single attack was terrifying. Then, the toad, carrying the Holy Infant, casually entered the teleportation portal. Seeing this, Pierre and Rosie were stunned. Comparing ourselves to others is infuriating. We're both 4th circle wizards, yet some can control 5th level fire elements from birth. Meanwhile, we struggle at the bottom. Sigh, Pierre suddenly sighed. There's no need to compare ourselves to others. We just need to live our own lives. The life of a legendary wizard might not be more exciting than ours. However, this senior has already paved the way for us. While the water elemental spirits are still reconstructing, let's seize this opportunity to charge through. At Dark Ancient Tower. On the 5th level, in the central region of the Io continent, in a mountain range of the Kane Empire. Having learned from the previous experiences of being ambushed, the Holy Infant immediately put up a protective force field upon exiting the teleportation portal. Of course, it was a false alarm. The Holy Infant's eyes widened in shock. Two bronze giants, each standing 100 meters tall, wielded a long sword and a huge axe respectively. They stood on either side of the teleportation portal, guarding it like sentinels. The aura of these giants was so powerful that even Phoenix, the 5th level fire element, trembled in fear. These aren't alchemical creatures. They must be the order keepers in the ancient tower. It seems the 5th level strictly prohibits blocking the entrance. The holy infant quickly rode the flame toad away from the portal. Devil blood grass, a 5th circle herb, generally grows in areas where powerful abyss demons have fallen, so it is relatively common in the abyss. According to the intelligence on the 5th level, there is one place that matches the description. The southern part of the Io continent. The demons there are related to abyss demons. I should be at the center of the continent now. Even if I travel at full speed, it will take several months to reach the south. The holy infant headed south. According to the information from the last opening of the ancient tower, 10,000 years ago, the Kane Empire had many 5th level experts and even 6th level spellcasters. In each generation, the Empire's strongest spellcaster was known as the Supreme Archmage. According to the news, there was suspected to be a 7th level existence, considered the number 1 in the Io continent. Now, after 10,000 years, the Kane Empire might be even stronger. The Holy Infant left the Empire's territory without incident, avoiding dangerous restricted areas and resource points occupied by top organizations. He arrived at a wizard market established by nomadic wizards on the 5th level. Starfall Market. This place was located on the Starfall Plateau, one of the intersection points. On the 5th level, most resource points were located at intersection points. According to some wizards' analyses, the Dark Ancient Tower constantly devours resources, materials, and even fragments of planes from the Land of Darkness. These places merge with Io continent, becoming intersection points. The intersection points are fraught with danger, filled with black beasts, but they also yield many resources and truth oddities. Therefore, top wizard organizations and some native civilizations on the 5th level have been fighting endlessly for these points. The flame toad under the holy infant gradually shrank until it was the size of an ordinary toad, perching on his shoulder. After paying the security fee, he casually stepped in without concealing his 4th circle perfection power. I arrived more than 10 years later than others. I should first find a place to understand the current layout of the 5th level before making any plans. The market wasn't large but had everything it needed, including a trading square. The trading square was overseen by a 5th circle wizard who maintained order. In return for the 5th circle wizard's protection, the nomadic wizards paid a security fee. This fee could be in the form of resources or ether stones. Through this arrangement, both the 5th circle wizard and the nomadic wizards achieved a mutually beneficial relationship. Purchasing 4th level fire element metal. Exchanging 5th level earth dragon grass for other herbs of the same level. Exploring the Starfall swamp, we need an array wizard. Everyone was busy trading, paying little mind to the short holy infant's entrance. A portly 4th circle perfection wizard brushed past the holy infant and suddenly sent him a message. You must be a wizard from the burning faction. I have a piece of 5th level fire element metal. Interested? The holy infant floated in the air, looking at him. Sure, what do you need? The portly wizard was delighted and chuckled. I'm from the ocean faction. If you have 5th level water element metal, that would be best. If not, other resources of equal value will do. Levi waved his hand, setting up a barrier. He spread his small hand, revealing boxes containing 5th level medicinal herbs floating in the air, along with several 5th circle spell models from the ocean faction and a piece of 4th level water element metal. How about these? The portly wizard's eyes widened, thinking this short wizard was indeed extraordinary. Especially the little toad on his shoulder, it was a 5th level being. Deal, he said. The portly wizard handed over a blue ore about the size of the holy infant's head. The ore emitted high temperatures, distorting the air. The holy infant flicked his finger, sending his items to the portly wizard. Pleasure doing business. The holy infant said indifferently, putting away the ore. This ore, called Blue Moon Flame Ore, similar to Black Flame Demon Iron, contained exotic flames that could be used to reforge the Crimson Dragon Slash. It seems you're new here. Are you planning to settle in the Starfall market temporarily, or what are your plans? After the transaction, the portly wizard chatted. This is my first time on the 5th level. I want to understand the current situation. I can pay for the information. The holy infant said. The portly wizard raised his eyebrows. You can ask me. Though my strength is average, I was one of the first to enter the 5th level. I've traveled extensively over the past 10 years. I don't know everything, but I can tell you a lot. You seem straightforward. Let's find a tavern, sit down, and chat. No need for compensation. The portly wizard's attitude was sincere, clearly intending to befriend him. Thank you very much. Chapter 1212, Holy Infant and Phoenix. Dark Ancient Tower. Level 5, Io Continent. Starfall Market. In a small tavern. The Holy Infant and Portly sat opposite each other. Portly smiled and said, I can see that your strength is already at the perfection 4th circle realm. You're only one step away from the 5th circle realm. I didn't expect you to only reach the 5th circle realm now. You missed out on a lot of good things. The Holy Infant said with a smile, I had something to do, so it was delayed. I had no choice. The toad on your body is a 5th grade fire elemental spirit, right? Portly tried to ask. The Holy Infant nodded. Phoenix stared at Portly and cursed in her heart, you're the toad, your whole family are toads. I am the Flame Avenger, Anveda. Portly was shocked. To be able to subdue a level 5 fire element while being just in perfection of the 4th circle realm, one must either have amazing strength or be a proud son of heaven from a large faction. He smiled and said, what do you want to ask, sir? Just ask. I will tell you everything I know. My life creed is that the more friends I know, the less enemies I have. Ha ha ha. The Holy Infant said, actually, it's nothing much. I just want to ask something. Now, on the 5th level, in the Million Mountains area in the south of the continent, are there any forces that we, as nomadic wizards, can't provoke? Portly thought for a moment and said, the first place we can't offend in the south is the holy land of the native demon race, the demon god temple. There are many level 5 experts in the temple, and according to legend, there are even 7 demon kings guarding it. Then, there is also the amethyst race sacred land, which was built by more than 70 amethyst race experts. These foreign races occupied the area in the Million Mountains that was rich in ores and plundered crazily. In the southern region, north of the Million Mountains, and the Holy Fire Plateau, the 9 Cities Alliance had gathered hundreds of wizards and some nomadic wizards. They had gathered a force of thousands of wizards, including dozens of level 5 powerhouses. I wonder if you've heard of the Fire Dragon Destroyer? He is also from the Burning School of Thought, asked Portly. The Holy Infant nodded and replied, I've heard of him, but I'm not too familiar with him. Tisk tisk, that person is extraordinary. In the past 10 years, he alone killed 7 members of the Amethyst race. He led the 9 Cities Alliance to fight against other wizard organizations and foreign tribes and took down 5 intersections in a row. He could have advanced to the 5th circle long ago, but he was stuck for a long time in order to refine strange items in the ancient tower and increase the upper limit of his spiritual force. 3 years ago, he had stepped into the 5th circle. As soon as he entered the 5th circle, he killed a 5th circle senior wizard, Wizard Kane. He had even retreated after fighting with a level 5 amethyst race member. Now, his name can be said to have shaken the south. The Church of Chaos has already issued an arrest warrant for him, Portly spat. Other than that, there's the Holy Temple of the Dead established by the Tomb Clan and the Mountain Church in Lightless City. These people are entrenched in the south and are not people we nomadic wizards can provoke. Thank you. Also, since you're from the Ocean School of Thought, have you heard of the Witch's family? Asked Holy Infant. I know. In order to resist the 9 Cities Alliance, the 6 Towers of the Endless Sea formed the Deep Blue Organization. Now, they are mainly active on the west coast of the continent. Holy Infant nodded. He had a long chat with the portly wizard and had gained a lot. Thank you, sir. We'll meet again if fate permits, Holy Infant said gratefully before parting. Portly laughed, goodbye. My name is Beckman, and I work at Starfire Wizard Academy. I wish you a safe return to the wizard world and a smooth ascension to the 5th circle realm. Let's drink together then. After leaving the tavern, Holy Infant pondered. He turned out to be a teacher of Starfire Wizard Academy. I guess it can be considered a kind of fate. After more than 10 years of development, the top geniuses of the major wizard organizations have basically obtained the truth oddity they want. Most of them are no longer stuck in the perfection 4th circle realm but have advanced to the 5th circle realm. My main body can't be too far behind. After understanding the situation, Holy Infant strolled around the market before leaving. He found some wizards selling ancestral knowledge in exchange for resources in the ancient tower. He used the resources that he did not need to exchange for a lot of knowledge to enrich his knowledge base. It was also a pleasant surprise. At some point, a figure suddenly flew out from the center of the market. He wore a white robe and had a head full of white hair. He looked rather old. "Sir, please wait a moment," he said to the Holy Infant via voice transmission. Holy Infant stopped and turned around. After sensing that it was a fifth circle wizard, he asked, "Senior, what's the matter?" Although Levi had already killed many fifth circle wizard, Holy Infant was still a fourth circle wizard. Naturally, he had to be polite to a fifth circle wizard. Judging from the spiritual force fluctuations, the white-robed wizard in front of him was an ordinary fifth circle wizard. His entire body was emitting a cold aura. He must be from the school of ice. "You're too humble, sir. You have this level 5 fire elemental spirit as a pet, so your true strength is probably even stronger than mine. You don't have to call me senior. You can just call me an Arctic Wizard." Arctic Wizard smiled helplessly. Everyone knew that there was a huge difference between a fourth circle wizard and a fifth circle wizard. However, in the dark ancient tower, along the way, he had already seen several true top-notch geniuses who had killed fifth circle people with fourth circle bodies, so he was already numb to it. The prestige that belonged to a fifth circle wizard no longer existed. In his opinion, Holy Infant was definitely a hidden top-notch genius, so he was especially respectful to him. He did not put on airs like a fifth circle wizard at all. This was also the reason why Levi had Holy Infant bring Phoenix with him. If he could display some of his strength appropriately, he would be able to save a lot of trouble. Chapter 1213, Arcanist of Blood. After all, the experts on the fifth floor of the ancient tower had all been filtered through layers and layers. Fourth circle senior wizards were everywhere, and only the fifth circle could make a move. "Then I won't stand on ceremony. Sir Arctic, you should be the owner of this market, right?" Holy Infant smiled. Arctic Wizard replied, "That's right. I took the liberty to stop you because I saw that you have a level 5 fire elemental spirit as your magic pet. Your strength is extraordinary. I would like to invite you to work together." According to Levi's previous thoughts, such cooperation would usually be rejected on the grounds of danger. However, it was different now. This was an ancient tower. He had come here to obtain resources and seek fortuitous encounters. Therefore, he did not directly refuse. In any case, it would not be a big deal if this Holy Infant clone died. "Please speak, sir," said the Holy Infant. Arctic Wizard invited Holy Infant to his mansion. "With your talent, you should have been able to advance to the fifth circle realm long ago," said the Arctic Wizard after setting up the barrier. "The reason why you are still at the perfection of fourth circle realm is to limit your spiritual force, right?" Holy Infant smiled in agreement. "Then it's a given that you'll advance to fifth circle. Moreover, with your talent, it's not impossible for you to reach the primordial soul realm in the future. I wonder if you've prepared the crystal shattering technique and the spirit concentration technique." Holy Infant shook his head and said, "Primordial soul realm is too far away for me, so I naturally didn't prepare these techniques." He did have the thunder fire crystal shattering technique, which belonged to the thunder dragon family. As for the spirit concentration technique, he had also inquired about it. It could be said that this was the most precious knowledge before advancing to the primordial soul realm. In the witch's family, only official members with perfection in the fifth circle could purchase it at a high price and after signing an extremely strict confidentiality agreement. It was impossible for an external wizard like Levi. After all, the primordial soul was the pillar of a top-tier wizard organization. Such a technique could not be easily taught to outsiders. Arctic Wizard said, "Before I established the Starfall Market, I explored the southern part of Io continent and came across an ancient wizard's ruin in the Million Mountains. I suspected that it was left behind by a primordial soul wizard from 10,000 years ago. I took the risk to find some clues. This essence soul wizard called himself the Arcanist of Blood Grando. He was a powerhouse of the life school of thought who specialized in bloodline modification. He was similar to the famous dark wizard 100 Beasts Berserk Witch, but his strength was far inferior to the 100 Beasts Berserk Witch. Before he died, he should have been at the level of an early primordial soul. Initial primordial soul stage? Then this Arcanist of Blood should have at least 1,000 years of longevity. Coupled with his level 6 strength, he shouldn't have died on the 5th floor, right?" asked Holy Infant. "This is the experiment log I found outside the relic. You can take a look and naturally understand." Arctic Wizard handed over a sheepskin scroll that emitted an ancient aura. Holy Infant opened it and browsed through the contents. I see. He used his bloodline modification to forcefully transplant the heart, claws, and wings of an adult sub-dragon species, the Earthquake Dragon. He relied on the strong power of dragon blood to attack the crystal and condensed his soul through the soul of the sub-dragon species. He tried to transform himself into a real sub-dragon species, but the transformation failed. He lost his consciousness and went on a rampage. He caused trouble in the Kane Empire and was repelled by His Holiness of the Church of Chaos. He hid in the Million Mountains and finally died of depression, Holy Infant murmured. Arctic Wizard replied, that's right. From his experiment log, he actually had the normal crystal shattering technique and soul concentration technique. However, he felt that the success rate was too low, so he took the risk and tried to create his own primordial soul technique. He did not expect that his cleverness instead harm himself. Moreover, he had transplanted another type of sub-dragon's organ before. Even if I wasn't from the life school of thought, I knew how dangerous it was to transplant another sub-dragon's bloodline under such circumstances. There would definitely be a conflict. However, he's also a pitiful person. After all, he's about to die. If he doesn't have a primordial soul, he'll probably die of old age in another world. Holy Infant pondered upon hearing this. Even the 100 Beasts Berserk Witch, the strongest genius since birth and was from the life school of thought's bloodline modification faculty, had fused with the organs of 100 beasts. There was only one pure-blooded dragon among the dragon organs. Other than that, there were other beasts. The principle was the same as how it was difficult for different species of dragons to have offspring. The Dragon School of Thought Wizard called it the theory of the repulsion of different dragon bloodlines. Many people said that dragons were originally lascivious, but it was actually a misunderstanding. The reason why the dragon race was spread all over the world was that most pure-blooded dragons could not find their own kind in their entire lives. It was difficult for them to find other mutated dragons to give birth to offspring. They could only be backward compatible with other species and settled for mating with humans, demons, and other transcendent creatures. That was how they had dragon descendants, mixed dragons, sub-dragons, and even the powerful aberrant dragon abomination came to exist. To a certain extent, this was the creator's way of weakening the pure-blooded dragon clan, a perfect creature that was born powerful and comparable to a demigod. In this way, the bloodline of the dragon clan was continuously diluted and degraded, which also benefited many ordinary humans and beasts. As the owner of the 6 Great Dragon Breathing Technique and a senior dragon expert, he was a powerful expert. Levi had studied this thoroughly. Arctic Wizard said, to be honest, my talent is not comparable to a genius like you. Even if I have the spirit concentration technique and the crystal shattering technique, the chances of my primordial soul being formed are extremely slim. However, I still want to give it a try. Unfortunately, there are some traps and arrays set up in the core area of the remains of the Arcanist of Blood. There is even a 6th circle array. Although it is broken, it is still working. After a long search, I found a 5th circle array wizard to use to crack the magic circle. However, if I want to enter the core of the remains, I still have to face a total of 3 level 5 sub-dragons. I still need a level 5 existence to deal with them. I established this market because I wanted to use this method to find suitable candidates. I wonder if you are interested. Chapter 1214, Refining Black Oblivion Thunder. What exactly are the sub-dragons? Asked Holy Infant after some thought. Arctic Wizard replied, it should be the Earthquake Dragon. Perhaps it's a descendant of the adult sub-dragons from 10,000 years ago. Holy Infant asked, there aren't any adult sub-dragons in that place, right? They're level 6 beings. They're extremely dangerous. Definitely not, said the Arctic Wizard. A level 6 sub-dragon is extremely powerful. If there was, I would definitely be able to sense it. After considering for a moment, Holy Infant said, I want to make a copy of the Spirit Concentration Technique and the Crystal Fragment Technique. I also want a copy of the experiment log. I only need a quarter of the other treasures and resources in the relic. You and the other person can discuss the remaining 3/4. How about that? Actually, what Levi needed the most was not these techniques. Instead, it was the 3-headed Earth-type sub-dragon. Coupled with the dragon turtle Ratty, it could perfectly solve the problem of cultivating the golden snake breathing technique. It was enough for him to not have to worry about the secret medicine problem before he became a level 6 knight. It was 3-headed. How could Levi not be tempted? Sure, your request is very reasonable, Arctic Wizard said with a smile. He had thought that the other party would ask for a third of the loot. In the end, he only needed a quarter of the resources. He was still very tactful. When we will take action? Asked Holy Infant. Arctic Wizard replied, it depends on when the array wizard is done with their research. If you don't mind, sir, please leave your contact information. I'll inform you when we're ready. I'll send you the coordinates of the route. You can go there directly. Sure. Holy Infant nodded. After exchanging contact information, Holy Infant turned around and left. Arctic Wizard said, take care, sir. It's not easy for me to find a candidate to work with. Holy Infant replied, don't worry, I'm very tough. Arctic Wizard nodded slightly and sent Holy Infant away. Not long after, a lifelike crow made of black copper flew in and landed in front of Arctic Wizard. Is this the third collaborator? Asked Crow. It was a woman's voice. Arctic Wizard replied, that's right. I can feel it. Although he's only a fourth circle wizard, his spiritual force is already at the level of a fifth circle wizard. It's just that he hasn't crystallized yet, so the quality is a little poor. Moreover, he has a level 5 fire elemental spirit as a pet. His true strength should not be inferior to you and me. He's qualified to be our partner. After a moment of silence, Crow suggested, why don't we find an opportunity to test his strength? A level 5 sub-dragon is no ordinary level 5 creature. Arctic Wizard looked troubled. He said, I don't think it's necessary. We don't need to kill the sub-dragon. We can just use your array and puppets to stall them for a while. It's up to you whether you want to try or not. I'm just worried that he'll drag us down. After all, he wants to take a quarter of the resources. If he can't contribute and still takes that much, do you think you and I will feel comfortable with that? Crow said coldly. Arctic Wizard was silent, and the crow turned around and flew away. Dark Ancient Tower, 4th floor, Fire Beacon Islands. On the nameless island. At the crater of the volcano, the nightmare shell was floating in the level 5 blazing underground fire. On the shore, Levi was refining the Black Oblivion Thunder. Of course, he also paid attention to the projections on the Divine Ring Tower. The relic of the Arcanist of Blood is in the Million Mountains, the same place as my Holy Infant clone. Let the Holy Infant clone go there first to collect the Devil Blood Grass and other resources, and then wait for the notice from the Arctic Wizard. As for Anya, I don't need to worry about him. He's a member of Deep Blue Organization now. From the projection, although Anya had a few dangerous battles, he managed to survive them all. After all, he's Lady Triss' child. How could he not have a trump card? Levi had promised Triss that he would take care of Anya. He would do what he said. If Anya was in a life and death crisis, he would secretly take action within his ability. Refining this Black Oblivion Thunder isn't difficult. I estimate that I'll be able to refine it in a month. At that time, the thunder spell in my body will be able to be converted into a special Black Thunder. However, this Black Thunder is the signature characteristic of a Black Thunder wizard. If I use it in the Ancient Tower, I need to disguise myself to prevent others from discovering that I, Levi, killed the Black Thunder wizard. Otherwise, the Dragon Abomination avatar will be exposed. Levi increased his strength and continued to refine the Black Thunder. On the 5th floor of the Io continent, the Holy Infant was already flying towards the south. The southern part of the Io continent was rich in resources and had many intersections. The next area was the Holy Infant's main area of activity. The Amethyst Race, the 9 Cities Alliance, the Tomb Clan, the Mountain Church, the Demon Race. There are many experts in the south. We have to keep a low profile. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Levi had completely refined the Black Oblivion Thunder. With a thought, the spell model of Thunder Dog flashed in his mind. He chanted an incantation, and black thunder surrounded his body, condensing into a thin black dog that was as black as ink and shining with lightning behind him. As expected, it has turned into a Black Thunder. It looks even more handsome. With a wave of his hand, the Thunder Dog shot out and struck the cliff in front of him with the force of a thunderbolt. Earth and rocks collapsed and fell into the sea of lava. The black electric arcs were like maggots that stuck to the walls of the cave, unable to dissipate. It's equivalent to having a debuff that continuously loses health. It's very practical. Chapter 1215, Attacking the Lair of Nightmare Dragon Clan. At the same time, a black divine dragon surrounded Levi and enveloped him. Thunder Dragon Flash. The black lightning streaked across the mountain. He flew out quickly. Wherever he passed, the black lightning would remain and corrode the rock layers. Not bad. Levi opened his proficiency panel. Levi. Thunder Dragon Flash, level 11, maximum. Special effect, Thunder Reverberation. Thunder Dog, level 11, maximum. Special effect, Thunder Reverberation. Thunder Reverberation, your thunder spell will have a special effect. It can be attached to the surface of the target and cause continuous damage. The duration is closely related to the proficiency of the spell and the amount of spiritual force. So that's how it is. These special thunder spells are equivalent to adding a special effect to ordinary thunder spells. No wonder their power is generally better, Levi muttered. Black flames surrounded his body and wrapped around the black thunder to disguise it. In the future, if he were to use thunder techniques in the ancient tower, he could avoid being recognized by the enemy through this disguise. It's been a long time since I went to the nightmare world. I want to see how those guys are doing. Levi entered the shelter, set up the array, closed his eyes, and entered the nightmare world. Nightmare world. Black Dragon Territory. Under the red and black sky, strange roars came from the plains. The nightmare mother trees that were once destroyed had already grown new flesh and blood branches, brimming with vitality. Under the towering nightmare main tree, a fierce and adorable black dragon crawled out. The black dragon transformed into Levi. Not long after, 9 Infant, Butcher, Red Cloak, Sledgehammer, and the Black Dragon Territory's 4 King Kongs brought their underlings here. Greetings, my lord. Get up. I heard that you've found the nest of the Nightmare Dragon clan. Butcher replied, the nest is far away from our territory. It's in the core area of the chaotic wilderness, between our Black Dragon Territory and the Dread Tree Territory. When Levi heard this, he realized that the Dread Tree Territory was located in the north of the Black Dragon Territory. It was also the territory closest to the Black Dragon Territory. Its lord should also be a level 6 existence called King of Thousand Eyes. King of Thousand Eyes' original form was a giant tree that was more than 10,000 feet tall. It was said that the tree was covered with human face fruits, and every leaf was an eyeball. That was why he called himself King of Thousand Eyes. King of Thousand Eyes was considered an above-average level 6 lord, not something the man-faced spiders could compare to. However, it had a flaw, and that was that it could not move. Therefore, the King of Thousand Eyes slept in its own territory all day long and was not interested in fighting for territory. It was precisely because of this characteristic that the man-faced spiders dared to establish their territory here without worry. If it were any other lord as a neighbor, the man-faced spider would have run away long ago. It would be difficult for Levi to develop in the Black Dragon Territory as he was doing now. Let's go, bring me there to take a look. 3 of the 4 King Kongs were left behind to guard the territory. 9 Infant brought Levi to the Nightmare Dragon clan's lair. The nightmare world was vast and boundless. Whether it was Nora or the other large plains, they were all tiny compared to it. 7 days later, Levi continued to venture deeper into the chaotic wilderness and gradually arrived at its core area. After passing through this wilderness, the Dread Tree Territory was located. On this day, a level 4 terror demonic bird flew over. Before Levi could make a move, 9 Infant had already spat out flames and started fighting with the demonic bird. Not long after, the terror demonic bird fell below. 9 Infant's head poked into its body and spat out flames. The demonic bird's body exploded and turned into a bloody mist. 9 Infant happily took out a level 4 nightmare crystal and handed it to Levi. In the future, just feed it directly to the nightmare main tree. Let the forest recover its original appearance as soon as possible, said Levi. 9 Infant nodded. In a valley ahead, 9 Infant stopped and babbled. Levi understood. The Nightmare Dragon clan lived in the cave, and 9 Infant did not dare to approach it. It seemed that its strength was at least at the peak of level 4 or even level 5. In this situation, he had to personally take action. Wait for me here. I'll be right back. 9 Infant nodded and flew into the forest to hide. Levi's hermit rune flickered and disappeared. In the valley, there was a dark cave with a winding path leading to a secluded place. There was a faint snoring sound that sounded like muffled thunder. It's a level 5 existence. Levi's heart skipped a beat. He had thought that it would be good enough to have a level 4 nightmare dragon, but it was actually a level 5. Levi was planning to set up an array quietly and then catch it easily. In the next moment, a strange roar came from the depths of the cave. It was like a salamander, shaking people's minds and making them restless. Levi's divine ring tower slowly rotated, suppressing this wave. Mental attack. As expected, the creatures in the nightmare world more or less know how to use mental attacks. Moreover, their general perception is extremely strong, comparable to wizards of the same realm. It was impossible to launch a sneak attack. He could only fight head-on. Rumble. The cave began to tremble as if something was crawling inside. The scales on its body rubbed against the wall, emitting a terrifying rustling sound. As the monster woke up, its aura surged. Levi could already feel that familiar aura. It's the Dragon Clan. Layers of protective spells lit up, and the deep blue sage avatar formed an armor that wrapped around Levi. He held the crimson dragon slash and raised it high. Boom! The hole split open, and a monster covered in black scales appeared. On every scale was a strange girl's face. The monster was nearly 100 meters long, and its overall shape was like a gecko. Its thick tail dragged behind it, and its slender neck was twisted. On its neck was a faceless human head. Chapter 1216, Fighting the Faceless Infant Dragon. Hiss, the creatures in the nightmare world are really ugly in their own ways. Those people who said that Dragon Abomination is ugly should really come to the nightmare world to take a look. Even with Levi's knowledge, he was still shocked by the ugly monster. In the nightmare dragon's memories, this thing seemed to be called the Faceless Infant Dragon, a rare sub-dragon species. Generally speaking, there were very few mixed-blood dragons who could attain level 5. Dragons above level 5 were basically immature sub-dragons. Very good. I'll take you in one go. I won't have to worry about my nightmare dragon breathing technique anymore. Although the Faceless Infant Dragon didn't have a face, the girl's face on its scales opened its eyes. In an instant, Levi was stared at by thousands of eyes, making his hair stand on end. Levi leaned forward. Wow! The Faceless Infant Dragon let out a strange cry. Its muscles were taut, and it hung upside down on the cliff like a gecko. Its thick tail was aimed at Levi like a cannon barrel. It opened its back door, and a stinky, sour juice mixture shot out. This is the first time I've seen someone use their butt to breathe. You're so mean. I can't be tainted by it, Levi cursed. The stinky dragon breath sprayed onto the ground, and the ground began to corrode. Some weak nightmare creatures died instantly. It was obvious that this thing was highly toxic. Relying on the wind dragon scamper, Levi was like a nimble dragonfly, constantly changing directions in mid-air to dodge the attacks. Crimson Dragon in the sky. He quickly swung his sword and released 8 sword lights in a row. 8 crimson dragons flew over from all directions and drowned the Faceless Infant Dragon. Boom! As it screamed, most of the scales on the Faceless Infant Dragon fell off. After the scales fell to the ground, they suddenly grew 4 legs and quickly ran back to its body. That works too. This Faceless Infant Dragon was probably the strongest transcendent creature he had ever seen. It could probably even fight a 5th Circle senior wizard. Crimson Dragon in the sky was his most powerful attack at the moment, but it was still helpless against the Faceless Infant Dragon. This clearly showed how difficult it was to deal with the Faceless Infant Dragon. The Faceless Infant Dragon rose from the ground and flew into the air. The folds on both sides of the dragon opened up and turned into wings. It was obvious that it had been angered by Levi and was getting serious. Its behind turned, and the stench of the dragon's breath filled the sky. Levi rushed into the sky, and the dragon caught up. Levi took a deep breath, then his expression turned cold and he put his palms together. Blood chi spread behind him, filling the sky. Boom! A 20-story 3-headed dragon's body swept through the clouds. The cape on the dragon god's back waved, forming a hurricane that blew away the stinky dragon breath. Then, the giant golden shield slammed down. Boom! The Faceless Infant Dragon's fat body collided with the dragon god. The dragon god was sent flying into the sky, while the Faceless Infant Dragon fell from the clouds and landed on the ground with a loud bang. A huge pit was blasted out, and it crawled out in a bloody mess. Who asked you to pee and defecate everywhere? Levi hid high in the clouds, using layers of force fields to protect himself from being hit. Dragon God, subdue it. Boom! The 3-headed dragon god swooped down from the sky. The crimson dragon slash expanded in the wind and the great sword fell. The power of the crimson dragon in the sky was much greater than Levi's. The Faceless Infant Dragon lay on the ground, its scales rustling. Black holes appeared behind it. Looking from afar, thousands of black spots appeared in the air. Then, its flesh melted like asphalt and flowed into the black spots. Levi's eyes narrowed. He commented, "It actually has spatial abilities. As expected of a sub-dragon. This ugly thing is not ordinary. Dragon God, lock down your position." The 3,000 feather blades on the three-headed dragon god's back shot out explosively towards the void. They then stopped in front of the hole and exploded with a powerful force of wind and thunder. Boom! The powerful hurricane blocked the black asphalt. The explosive lightning even destroyed some of the asphalt. In the past few years, Levi had used the level 6 material, void sand, to reforge the feather blade in level 5's land of underground fire. Although the wind thunder wings were only ordinary divine weapons, their abilities and power were not inferior to top-grade 5th circle wizard tools. The void sand exploded with a strong force, grinding and eroding the asphalt. The faceless infant dragon screamed and had no choice but to stop the void teleportation. It let out a strange cry, and its faceless head suddenly split open with a scarlet gash, from which densely packed lamprey-like teeth protruded. At the same time, a ball of black energy gathered in its throat. Boom! Its power was so great that even Levi, who was sitting in the clouds watching the show, felt that something was wrong. Levi's wind dragon scamper flickered 10 times, consuming a large amount of spell power before he heaved a sigh of relief. A pitch-black hole appeared in the clouds where he was originally standing. It was like a black hole that kept devouring the surrounding matter. Dragon clans that have spatial abilities are really dangerous. On the other side, the dragon god who was closest to him reacted very quickly and fled into the scarlet dark dimension. However, half of its body was still blasted off by the giant cannon, leaving only 3 arms and 2 heads. The powerful recovery power began to take effect, and the 3 heads and 6 arms began to recover. The dragon god even circled behind the faceless infant dragon through the scarlet dark dimension. The faceless infant dragon keenly sensed danger behind it. It opened its mouth and used the same trick again. The powerful black energy ball was accumulating power. In the next moment, a great sword of black flames that was 100 feet long was pushed out of the void and stabbed into the huge mouth of the faceless infant dragon. "How can I let you succeed twice?" The great sword rolled, and the faceless infant dragon's sharp teeth were all shattered. Black blood flowed out. Chapter 1217, Honing Pharmaceutical Skills Again. The intense pain made it extremely uncomfortable. The dragon god sat on the faceless infant dragon's head, raised the giant shield, and smashed it down again and again. When the giant shield was smashed and deformed, the faceless infant dragon's head had already split open. However, this fellow's vitality was extremely tenacious and did not die immediately. Levi did not need a dead faceless infant dragon. He descended from the sky and transformed into a ferocious little black dragon. He lay on the 3-headed dragon god's head and said fiercely, "Submit to me and you can live." The mighty 6 dragons might entangled together, and an indescribable aura covered the sky. In the clouds, the silhouettes of 6 giant dragons of different shapes and sizes could be vaguely seen. 6 pairs of high and mighty dragon eyes looked at the faceless infant dragon. The faceless infant dragon had never seen such a scene before, but as a level 5 sub-dragon, it was unwilling to lower itself to others. They were both sub-dragons, but the differences in personality between different individuals were still very obvious. The dragon turtle was calm and pursued inner peace, so it was easy to submit. In any case, it was a living method. Some were strong and stubborn, such as the one in front of him. However, all living beings, no matter how strong they were afraid of death. Finally, when the faceless infant dragon felt that its life was ending, the faceless infant dragon's voice sounded in Levi's mind. It said, "Don't kill me. I submit." This voice was very pleasant to hear, and it sounded like an ordinary little girl. It was completely different from the appearance and behavior of this faceless infant dragon. The scarlet mist quickly sewed up the faceless infant dragon's wound. With its physique, it could slowly heal itself. "What's your name?" "Lord, my name is Lotus Dew." Levi listened to the discordant and clear voice of a child and felt that he had gone too far just now. He felt a sense of guilt. "Do you have a territory to take you in?" asked Levi. "Lord, I used to be from the Dread Tree territory. Later, I was chased out by the King of Thousand Eyes because I secretly ate the human face fruit. I was exiled to the wilderness and could not go home," said the faceless infant dragon. Levi thought to himself, "This King of Thousand Eyes has such a good temper. His subordinate even ate his fruit, but he didn't kill them. In the future, when I have the strength, I can go and befriend him. Come to my territory." I'll take you in. The faceless infant dragon's expression changed slightly. It asked, My lord. Are you also a lord? Yes, I am. The faceless infant dragon thought, I've never seen such a weak nightmare lord. Levi brought the faceless infant dragon and woke up 9 infant who was sleeping on the other side. Then, he brought the 2 infant monsters back to the Black Dragon territory. When they passed by the Flesh and Blood Mountain, Levi pointed at it and said, See that? The Black Dragon territory is my territory. No one will dare to bully you here in the future. The faceless infant dragon was shocked. This kind of nightmare lord who had not attained level 6 was in existence with a noble bloodline. This lord was indeed extraordinary. If he did not die prematurely, he would definitely be a big shot in the nightmare world in the future, as powerful as the Blood Rain Overlord. The Lord is here. Lord is mighty. The other 3 leaders couldn't help but praise. After finding traces of the Nightmare Dragon clan, they had seen from afar that the faceless infant dragon was definitely the strongest in the chaotic wilderness. But now, it was subdued by his lordship. Lordship's strength was evident. In the following period of time, Levi set aside a mountain for the faceless infant dragon to recuperate. Levi opened his proficiency panel. Levi. Nightmare Lord, Level 3. Nightmare Territory, Black Dragon Territory. The Nightmare Territory's residents were the faceless infant dragon, 9 infant, butcher, red cloak, and sledgehammer. Seeing that the faceless infant dragon had become his territory's citizen, Levi was relieved. This meant that it was now a part of his territory and had completely submitted to him. After drawing some blood, he left the territory. The faceless infant dragon's strength was close to the 5th circle realm. With it overseeing the Black Dragon territory, the safety of the territory was greatly improved. Most of the wanderers in the chaotic wilderness were not as strong as the faceless infant dragon. Nameless Volcanic Island. Levi woke up from the shelter. He immediately extracted the bloodline essence and refined the Nightmare Dragon potion. After cultivating for a month, he could clearly feel that his breathing technique, which had stagnated, had begun to slowly advance again. In this case, I only lack an Earth-type mixed blood dragon clan for the secret breathing technique. After the exploration of the relic of the Arcanist of Blood is completed, if everything goes smoothly, I can obtain an Earth-type sub-dragon. The Golden Snake breathing technique will take off on the spot. Levi's consciousness entered his mind and found that the Holy Infant had already entered the southern region. He had stepped into the largest and most dangerous intersection in the Io continent, the Million Mountains. Next, I'll search for resources while waiting for news from Arctic Wizard. Apart from cultivating, Levi brought Sawkins and the other transcendent creatures to a nearby island. Crab General Sawkins and Shrimp Soldier Pixar had an epic meeting. However, it was obvious that Sawkins did not know Pixar. They were not relatives. Nevertheless, Pixar listened to Sawkins and followed his lead. Thus, Sawkins successfully became the captain of the security team under Levi's command. His monthly salary was 100 fate coins, which was a high salary. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Year 1186 of the Holy Brilliance calendar, month of grass. In the past year, Levi had not been idle. When he was not cultivating, he used the elemental metal materials he had on hand to reforge all the lower quality divine weapons. The quality of the Scarlet Shadow and Golden Dragon Heavenly Shield had increased significantly. Levi's 6th talent, Ice Dragon Prison, was also completed. The 6 talents were all at perfection, waiting to be upgraded. Levi's spiritual force had also reached 526 points. After his spiritual force broke through the 500-point threshold, Levi started cultivating his pharmaceutical skills again. What he did not lack the most now were medicinal herbs and all kinds of pharmaceutical formulas. Therefore, it was very fast for him to make medicine. Month of Flowers. In the pharmaceutical lab, Levi's expression was solemn, and his spiritual force was tense. He chanted an incantation, and pieces of powder made from level 4 and level 5 herbs were scattered into the crucible. As the crucible continued to stir, the potion bubbled. When the time was right, he released his spiritual force and wrapped it around the crucible. Combine the medicine. The water in the crucible began to evaporate rapidly, and small blue pills appeared at the bottom. This was a blue potion that could restore a 5th circle wizard's spell power. It was called Blue Emperor's Tear. Although it was relatively simple, it was a genuine level 5 potion, and the cost was not low. Levi opened the interface and looked at it, his face filled with joy. His pharmaceutical skills had already reached the 5th circle realm. Chapter 1218, Conversion of Summer Cicadas Chirp. Unknowingly, I'm already 196 years old. I've become a 5th circle pharmacist as well. Although this 5th circle was not certified, it did not matter. After all, Levi did not lack money after leaving the dark ancient tower. He did not need to make money by refining and selling potions. All these years, with perfection completion of all 6 innate spells, his time was also relatively abundant. In the future, he would be able to cultivate other skills faster. Breathing techniques, meditation art, heavenly dragon sword codex, rune language, 3 arts of wizardry, body tempering technique, bloodline dharma body, divine weapon upgrade. All of this required Levi to cultivate them. Just thinking about it would make the others' scalps go numb, but Levi had persisted until now. It could be said that half of his success came from the panel, and the other half came from his own hard work. Speaking of which, this dragon abomination avatar of mine has not fought with anyone for close to 10 years. Now, the outside world should have forgotten about me. Levi sighed. That's for the best. I'll just cultivate quietly. He closed his eyes and meditated. He was getting closer and closer to the perfection of his spiritual force. It was about the same as his original plan. He would be able to enter the 5th circle realm when he was over 200 years old. This speed might be a little slower than some top-notch geniuses. After all, he had too many things to cultivate. In order to become a full-time master in the other world, it was fine to be a little slower. Only when Levi knew everything and did not need to ask for help would he feel safe. New G. Otherwise, he would have to be like the Arctic wizard, exploring a relic and relying on other wizards. It was not a good feeling to be held at the neck by others. Levi's time was peaceful. Outside the ancient tower, the other wizard organizations were also relieved. That 3-headed dragon abomination is definitely dead. It hasn't appeared for such a long time. According to Dragon Abomination's personality, it's not very possible for him to not stir up trouble for 10 years. I think so too. Maybe it was killed by the native creatures, so the ancient tower didn't have a projection. This is what he deserves. He's extremely arrogant. He'll get his retribution sooner or later. In the Endless Sea. Pharmacist Association Headquarters. Madame Triss, who was wearing a researcher's white robe and black silk leggings, was also in a good mood. After 21 years in the ancient tower, Anya's strength had become more and more profound, especially his actual combat ability. He had improved rapidly, and his teamwork had also improved. Now, Anya had already stabilized his 4th circle talent and was starting to study the 3rd 4-ringed talent. With Anya's personality, he would definitely pursue the perfection of 9 talents. Triss's expectations for him were that he only needed 8 talents. Attaining perfection for 9 talents was very rare, and it was fine as long as he tried his best. The little girl who was very close to Anya, the Phantom Witch Sierra, had also improved very quickly. She had already reached 4th circle a long time ago. Now, she had attained perfection in the 4th circle realm and was ready to reach the crystal phase. These 2 young people seemed to be able to create sparks. Interesting. Will this kid bring a wife home? Lady Triss suddenly thought of something. Anya kept talking about Levi. Triss had once been worried that his orientation was different, but now it seemed that she was overthinking it. The ancient tower had been open for so long, and Triss only had one question: where did Levi go? Don't tell me it's hiding in one place and doesn't dare to move. Or did he use the mask I gave him to transform into a wizard I'm not familiar with? But even so, with my understanding of him, I should be able to find some clues. He can't possibly transform into a dragon abomination or a member of the amethyst race, right? Triss, who was puzzled, only hoped that Levi would return safely. She did not expect anything else. From the looks of it, Anya could already take care of himself. Dark Ancient Tower. The 5th level, north of the Io continent. It was the land of extreme cold that the barbarians had never touched. There was an icy blue cold pond, and at the edge of the pond, a red-haired middle-aged male wizard in a red robe was sitting cross-legged. It was the dark wizard who looked like Fire Crocodile City Master, Blood Demon Tower Master. In the cold pond, a red cicada that was emitting high temperature was floating above. As expected of the Earth-grade summer cicadas chirp that took nearly 10,000 years to nurture. It's like the 27-year cicada in the human world. It only needs an opportunity to quickly transform into cry of the cicada and become a sky-grade oddity. The Blood Demon Tower Lord was excited. The greatest secret of their entire Blood Fire Demon Tower was that they had grasped the method to convert the summer cicada chirp into the cry of the cicada. Without such a method of transformation, the summer cicada's chirp would never be able to break out of the ground and soar into the sky. It could only be an Earth-grade oddity. And now, the conversion ceremony that had been going on for more than 10 years was coming to an end. The fire elements on summer cicada's chirp's body began to dissipate. Cold air entered its body, and ice-blue truth runes slowly appeared. In the end, a blue cold cicada came out of the red cicada's body. Its light blue body began to darken rapidly until it became dark blue. As soon as the cold cicada appeared, it let out an ear-piercing cry. The sound wave was so strong that it could shatter the fourth circle protective force field. Truth oddity were very special things. They weren't living things and could be stored in storage rings. However, they had intelligence and could escape. They could even instinctively attack those who wanted to possess them. Different truth oddities had vastly different offensive abilities. In some extreme cases, even a third circle wizard could easily take away some glorious sun-grade oddity, provided that they could meet them. However, such people were not hot shots, but chosen ones. Chapter 1219, Blood Demon Tower Master heads to Holy Fire Plateau. The cold cicada in front of him was obviously very aggressive. It instinctively attacked the Blood Demon Tower Master the moment it was born. A mere oddity, how dare you, the Blood Demon Tower Master said coldly. The protective force field around his body flickered and easily blocked the cold cicada's sound wave attack. I worked so hard to nurture you, not for you to devour my master. He had been waiting for hundreds of years. Ever since he took over the Blood Fire Demon Tower and became the Tower Master, he had been fantasizing about this day. Blood Hand Seal. He began to cast a spell. 2 pairs of blood-red hands, emitting a suppressive force, grabbed at the cold cicada. Come over. Countless ice arrows condensed around the cold cicada and shot toward him. Small tricks. The high temperature of the blood fire melted the ice. The Blood Demon Tower Master suddenly took out a white bottle. Nu G. He chanted an incantation. Retract. This was the 5th Circle Wizard Tool Frost Jade bottle that he had specially refined to capture the cold cicada. A suction force came from the bottle, sucking the suppressed cold cicada and the cold pond into it. He quickly closed the lid and continuously applied many seals. Inside the bottle, the cold cicada's struggle became weaker and weaker. In the end, it lay dormant at the bottom of the bottle without making a sound. Hibernation? That's good too. This way, it'll be easier for you to maintain your spirituality and not reduce your effectiveness. After all, now is not the time to refine you. The Blood Demon Tower Master laughed heartily. He was now more than 500 years old and had already entered the 5th Circle Senior Realm 70 years ago. At his peak, his spiritual force had reached 800. If he were to cultivate normally, with his talent, his spiritual force would have already reached perfection in the 5th Circle Realm. Unfortunately, because of his identity as a Dark Wizard, he was exterminated by the 9 Cities Alliance and the Fire Crocodile City Master. He could only self-destruct. After some planning, he took over the Fire Crocodile City Lord and recultivated. Although he had returned to the 5th Circle Senior Realm, he was still far from attaining perfection in the 5th Circle Realm for his spiritual force. As far as he knew, this cry of the cicada only had 4 functions. First, a 4th Circle talent spell of the School of Ice was born. Second, increase the power of the ice spells. Third, it could enhance the affinity of the frost element and improve one's cultivation aptitude. It was even possible to give birth to a special frost talent. Fourthly, if a wizard from the Burning School of Thought used it, a magical phenomenon would occur when the fire attribute spiritual force crystal and the cold cicada's frost attribute intersected. Ice and fire meet and shatter the crystal. After breaking it, the primordial soul will be formed. Of course, one person's physique could not be compared to another. This was the case with oddities. It was possible that other people would have new functions after consuming them. In short, the functions that have been discovered so far were the above 4 points. The first 3 functions were completely useless to a burning faction wizard like him, and he did not plan to dual cultivate the frost faction. Only the 4th one was the reason why he had gone through so many hardships and schemed for so many years. That was to use the cry of the cicada as an opportunity to break the crystal after his spiritual force had reached perfection. Then, he would use the spirit concentration technique to forge his primordial soul. Of course, this was not a 100% success rate. In fact, the greatest possibility of ice and fire converging was that they were incompatible. Blood Demon Tower Master's head would explode and his soul would scatter. However, as long as there was a 10% chance of success, it was enough for him to take the risk. If he didn't use this move, it would be even more hopeless for him to obtain a primordial soul with his talent. This time, the opening of the Dark Ancient Tower is extraordinary. The prodigies are rampant, and the alien races are everywhere. Even I might fail on the 5th floor. If that happens, my oddity will be used by others. Therefore, before the ancient tower closes, what I need to do next is to find a place where the fire element is not bad. I need to cultivate steadily and wait for my spiritual force to reach perfection. I'll use an oddity to try attaining the primordial soul. If I can succeed, it'll be best. If I can't, I'll accept my fate. The Blood Demon Tower Lord murmured and quickly left this freezing place. After careful consideration, he realized that the south was the most suitable for him. In the north, the fire elemental power was weak, and there were many barbarian tribes with barbarian kings dominating the place. In the central land, the Kane Empire had a monopoly on power, and the Church of Chaos was the sole ruler of the empire. 15 years ago, they had launched a vigorous hunt for evil mages to hunt down foreigners like him. Only the south occupied by the demons was the most suitable for hiding. Moreover, the Fire Crocodile City Lord was originally a member of the Nine Cities Alliance. If he went to the south, he could join the Nine Cities Alliance and receive the organization's protection. The Holy Fire Plateau, where the headquarters of the Nine Cities Alliance was located, was rich in the power of the heavenly fire element and was suitable for cultivation. There were also other opportunities and resources that were most suitable. With this thought in mind, he headed south to the Holy Fire Plateau. Several months later, south of the Io continent, Million Mountains. A short figure in red robes descended from the sky. On his shoulder, the flame toad was dozing off in boredom. I've been careful all the way. I've finally passed through the Holy Fire Plateau and entered the boundary of the Million Mountains. The Holy Fire Plateau was the territory of the Nine Cities Alliance, and thousands of burning school of thought wizards were scattered there. These people's cultivation bases all started with the 4th Circle Realm, and those who could make it to the 5th level and still live until now were all elites. There were no weaklings. During this period, after obtaining information from many parties, Holy Infant had a clear understanding of the situation on the 5th level. Nine Cities Alliance, Deep Blue Organization, Holy Tower of the Earth, Storm City. This was a joint organization of the 4 traditional schools of thought, of which the Burning School of Thought was the strongest. Thunder Divine Hall, Death Valley, and Frost Tower were powerhouses that were only second to the top 4. Thunder Divine Hall's strength was not much different from the 4 traditional guilds. Chapter 1220, Fighting an Empire's Mage. After that, there were Metal Tide, Heart of Darkness, Rowling's Lab, Psychic Society, Alchemy Union, and other organizations. As for the other minor schools, they were not worth mentioning. Next, let's start searching for the Devil Blood Grass. Holy Infant spread out his spiritual force and searched. He had collected some Devil Blood Grass from some nomadic wizard, but it was far from enough for him. Therefore, he spent a lot of money to buy the coordinates of a part of the collection site and planned to find it himself. The more powerful a demon's death ground was, the higher the probability of producing Devil Blood Grass. As soon as he entered the Million Mountains, Levi felt as if he had returned to the 100-eyed demon territory. There was a faint trace of demonic aura in the air. He knew that the so-called demons were most likely things created by demons. The deeper he went, the thicker the demonic aura became, and it even affected the spells cast by wizards. Fortunately, Holy Infant had several kinds of potions that were suitable for the disease. After taking them, he felt much more comfortable. Not long after, Holy Infant's eyes lit up. At the root of the giant tree in front of him, there was a black grass that was about a foot long. New G. This grass looked normal, no different from ordinary grass. However, when Holy Infant carefully picked it up, he found that its roots looked like an eye demon carved out of wood. Looks like a powerful eye demon died here a long time ago. Holy Infant checked with his spiritual force but didn't find the eye demon's remains. Eye demons were like soft creatures. After death, as time passed, nothing was left. Holy Infant had an idea and took out the Book of the Undead. He chanted an incantation. Mind flayers with octopus tentacles on their heads gathered before his eyes. Considering that the Million Mountains were the territory of the demon race, Levi had Guillermo follow him in advance. As a demon, Guillermo might have more experience in finding the devil blood grass. Help me keep an eye out for this herb. Holy Infant showed the devil blood grass to the mind flayers. The mind flayers nodded and spread out its spiritual force to look for herbs. The master and servant disappeared into the forest. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. At the end of the year 1186 of the Holy Brilliance calendar, Holy Infant and the mind flayers wandered around the edge of the Million Mountains like herbalists. He had obtained some devil blood grass, but it was far from enough for Levi to use it for a few years. Looks like I have to go deep into the Million Mountains. On this day, Holy Infant stopped and muttered. In the core area of the Million Mountains, there was a powerful demon god temple, and Holy Infant didn't want to come into contact with them. He thought for a moment and walked deeper. Not long after, Holy Infant stopped. There's a huge battle ahead. I suspect that there are level 5 experts. Wait. She's noticed me too. Get ready to fight, Phoenix. Although he couldn't use danger perception, Holy Infant's spiritual perception was still very powerful. I was wondering why there was a demonic aura here. So there's a true demon and an evil wizard here. Holy Infant's expression changed slightly, and he dodged with the mind flayers. Boom! A fireball exploded on the spot, raising the surroundings to the ground. A female mage with fiery red hair and wearing a gorgeous red robe stood in the air, looking down at Holy Infant. She sneered, "The shorty evil wizard over there, surrender quickly. Otherwise, I'll make a move. In front of the Empire's mages, you won't be able to fight back at all." A protective force field lit up around Holy Infant. He smiled and replied, "This beautiful lady, I have no intention of making the Empire my enemy. I'm just picking some herbs in the mountains." The female mage sneered, "Shorty, you have a level 4 true demon by your side. You still dare to quibble?" Holy Infant frowned when he heard this. The Kane Empire and the demons were like fire and water. The mind flayers around him had been mistaken for the true demons of the demon race. This was troublesome. Evil came from the heart, and Holy Infant stopped pretending. "I didn't want to make things troublesome, but you keep calling me a shorty. I'm angry now. Phoenix, go." Holy Infant rose into the air and flew straight up on the flame toad. The toad opened its huge mouth, and a blazing breath condensed, forming a huge sun. Explode! Rumble! The forest within a radius of several miles was charred and turned into charcoal. "You actually dare to attack the Empire's mages? The Supreme Archmage is watching you. Foreigner!" Beside the female mage, a fiery red magic shield covered in cracks protected her. She was so angry that the two mountains trembled. She waved her wand and chanted an incantation. A flaming dragon rushed toward her. Seeing this, Holy Infant heaved a sigh of relief. "What year is it now? You still have to use wands to cast spells, and you still have to chant spells. You don't even have any innate spells? A native spell caster is nothing." Phoenix burst out, spitting flames from its mouth. Phoenix collided with the dragon, and a shockwave swept out. Holy Infant, on the other hand, flashed like a wind dragon scamper, dodging the flaming dragon's attack, and then pointed out. Fire Dragon Tribulation. There was no need to chant a spell, and there was no channeling bar. Casting a spell with a single thought was what a wizard was. The red divine dragon exploded beside the female mage, shattering her magic shield. Her expression changed, and without thinking, she took out a stack of animal skin made of unknown animal fur. There were all kinds of scribbles on the animal skin, and Holy Infant saw the shadow of the wizard's spell runes on it. Spell scrolls? But are the local mages that powerful? Making so many spell scrolls, how much spiritual force origin does it consume? It's not worth it at all, and it affects cultivation. The next moment. Bang bang bang! Beast skins danced in the air, sealing Holy Infant. Fire Emperor Divine Talisman, explode. Chapter 1221, Supreme Archmage Tracking Mark. The items that Holy Infant called Spell Scroll exploded in an instant. The explosive power of a single piece of beast skin was actually only at the level of level 3 or level 4. However, this woman threw out hundreds of them at once. Under some kind of miraculous reaction, like a large-scale array, the power of the explosion actually reached 250 Ka. It was much more powerful than Holy Infant's Fire Dragon Tribulation, second only to the world-burning Flame Snake. Earth Burst Barrier. Earth Dragon Barrier. Heavy Water Barrier. Phoenix. The 4 great defenses were placed on Holy Infant's body. The terrifying explosion blew Phoenix into pieces. After breaking 3 layers of enchantments, only the heavy water barrier was left. It was a false alarm. Sigh, without my knight skills, my defense has plummeted. I'm only at the level of an ordinary 5th circle wizard now. I don't feel safe, sighed Holy Infant. At this moment, he deeply realized how important knights were to him. Phoenix reappeared, its stomach bulging with anger. It looked at Holy Infant. Holy Infant understood. Phoenix wanted to use the Fire Phoenix's true form to fight. Although the fire element could change at will, Phoenix was born in the form of a phoenix. Therefore, its toad form limited its ability to use it. Go ahead. In any case, a level 5 mage was not a boss on the 5th floor, let alone a projection. Holy Infant was not worried that the enemy would use Phoenix to lock onto his identity. Moreover, fire elements in the form of a fire phoenix were very common. It was only because Levi was too cautious that Phoenix turned into a toad. The toad gave a long roar and rose from the ground, turning into flames and rushing into the sky. Then, a clear cry sounded in the sky. The fire phoenix blazed a prairie, and red clouds filled the sky. Phoenix the King had returned. The fire phoenix with a wingspan of 100 meters swept over, and 3,000 flaming blades shot out. Whoosh! After witnessing the method just now, Holy Infant no longer looked down on the native mages. Water Dragon's Song, Bind Control. Ice Dragon Prison, Domain Spread Out. Although the power of these 2 spells was not as good as the original bodies, it was not a problem to use them to fight. After exploding its cover, Phoenix showed off its might and suppressed the native mage. This mage's spell scroll was very powerful, but after throwing it, she seemed to have run out of tricks. Without any innate spell, how could she be a match for a wizard? Soon, the female mage had the intention to retreat. She warned, "Evil demon, just you wait. I'll be back." "Do you think you can leave?" the Holy Infant sneered. He used the Water Dragon's Song to control it while trying to use the Snake-Eye Demon Ring and the Trembling Ring. He wondered if it was the effect of the Lover's Rune. The Trembling Ring was hit. As the light flashed, the female mage felt as if she had been struck by lightning. In an instant, the female mage's body trembled uncontrollably. Her face was flushed red. She said angrily, "What evil spell did you use?" Holy Infant flashed in front of the female mage. Her breasts were bigger than the Holy Infant's head, and her long legs were taller than the Holy Infant's body. Holy Infant's small hand floated up and pressed on her chest. He icily said, "I only need to use a thought, and your heart will explode. Now, tell me the method of making those beast skins you just used." The female mage was extremely embarrassed and furious. She lowered her head and said, "Don't even think about it. Only the mages of the Kane Empire can use the Supreme Divine Talisman. Even if I teach you, you won't be able to learn it." Boom! The Crimson Divine Dragon shot out from her body. The female mage's chest was blown up. She was still breathing. She looked at her empty chest and muttered, "The Supreme Archmage will avenge me. Long live the Empire, long live Chaos, long live the Archmage." With that, she lowered her proud head and died. The flames swept out and turned the female mage into ashes. There was no trace of a wizard's tracking mark. Holy Infant commented calmly, "You're clearly a spellcaster. You're always engaging in these supernatural beliefs. Wizards only believe in the truth and themselves." He was just asking casually. There was no loss if he could not learn it. In the next moment, something unexpected happened. The ashes of the corpses began to gather and form a tracking mark. Holy Infant retreated as if he was facing a great enemy. His force field flickered as he looked in that direction. An illusory eye covered in blood appeared in the triangular tracking mark and stared at Levi. "I've noticed you, foreigner." When Holy Infant saw this, he heaved a sigh of relief. He sneered, "I know. Hurry up and disperse. You're bluffing. Aren't you just trying to arrest me?" The eyeball remained silent and then slowly disappeared. The Supreme Eye was said to be a supreme divine weapon controlled by the Supreme Archmage. Anyone who killed a great mage of the Empire or a clergy of the Church of Chaos would be noted down by the Supreme Eye. Then, the Church of Chaos would publish a bounty list and mobilize the mage groups among the people to hunt down the wanted person. Holy Infant did not panic because this thing had been triggered by many wizards, so it did not have much of an effect. In the Kane Empire, the mage realm when measured by the wizard realm's first circle to the 6th circle, they were low level, intermediate, high level, top mage, archmage, supreme mage. Above that was the supreme archmage. The supreme archmage was like a god, guarding the capital of the Kane Empire, and wouldn't leave easily. Only top mages and supreme mages could pose a threat to the Holy Infant. There were not many of them in the Empire, and they were often in high positions, making it difficult for them to leave. Holy Infant searched the ground and found a storage ring. He broke the restriction on it and glanced at it. He found a book called Kane's Complete Collection of Divine Talismans and couldn't help but smile. Chapter 1222, Becoming Minotaur Tribe's Guardian. I still got it in the end. Then, he left with the Mind Flayers. In front of them, there were two groups of people fighting. One of them was wearing the Empire's mage robes, and the leader was 3 top mages. On the other side, there was a group of burly black minotaurs. They were bare-chested and waved bone clubs. They had a strength similar to demonic aura in their bodies. They were probably demons. Lord True Demon! Save us! Among the minotaurs, there was a leader who was about level 4. He was delighted when he found the Mind Flayers. Holy Infant's heart stirred and he said to the Mind Flayers telepathically, "Kill those mages and save these people. I have a use for them. Also, I'll be your servant in front of other people from now on. You don't have to call me master. Just call me Holy Infant." All right. Mind Flayers was smart enough to know what Holy Infant was up to. Mind shock. His spiritual force swept out, and a large group of low-level mages fell to the ground, unable to get up. Their brains were all shocked silly. Mind Flayers was already at the peak of level 4. If it had not been for the lack of demonic aura, it might have been at level 5. His strength was naturally not something these mages could compare to. Soon, Holy Infant joined the battle. The red fire dragon swept out and killed all the mages of the Empire. The Supreme Eye came out and looked around again before disappearing again. My ranking on the bounty board is going to rise again. It doesn't matter anymore. A lot of debt doesn't weigh on me. After the battle, Holy Infant cleaned up the battlefield and collected the spoils of war. The Minotaur demons followed a 5-meter-tall chief and knelt before the Mind Flayers. "Thank you for your help, Lord True Demon." "You're welcome," said Mind Flayers. The Minotaur chief's eyes turned and he quickly asked, "May I ask if Lord True Demon has any spawns now? Our Minotaur tribe is considered a medium-sized tribe in this area. However, there are no true demons guarding it at the moment, so we would like to invite my lord to join our tribe." "Agree to it," Holy Infant said to the Mind Flayers telepathically. "Sure, bring me to your tribe. This evil mage is my servant, Holy Infant. He is very powerful." "Come with me," said Mind Flayers. The Minotaur chief had seen Holy Infant's methods before, so he naturally couldn't ask for more. "Lord Holy Infant, please come." Holy Infant's expression did not change as he followed the group of demons and disappeared into the forest. Several days later, this group of tens of demons arrived at the entrance of a huge cave. Inside, Holy Infant sensed the auras of hundreds of demons, who were mostly at level 1 and level 2. "Lord True Demon, please come in." The leader of the Minotaur tribe was extremely polite. Their tribe finally had their own true fiend guardian. Moreover, it was a buy one get one free, and a powerful evil wizard was also given as a bonus. Following that, the surrounding tribes no longer dared to harass them. Before long, the Mind Flayers and Holy Infant arrived at a hall. They were surrounded by the demons, and men and women, old and young, sized them up curiously. "Everyone, this is the Mind Flayers Lord Guillermo, a true demon. From now on, Lord Guillermo will be our clan's guardian." "That's great. We have a true demon now. And it seems that Lord Guillermo isn't too far away from becoming an ancient demon. When he becomes an ancient demon, will attaining the Demon King still be far away? Woo, Lord True Demon is here. We're saved." Holy Infant looked at these fanatical demons. Along the way, he also knew why this was the case. It turned out that only true demons could use the demon well in the tribe to let the newborn demons undergo the demonic aura invigoration ritual by offering sacrifices to the 7 demon kings of the demon god temple. Only after being infused with demonic aura could one begin the path of demonic cultivation, using the demonic aura in the Million Mountains to cultivate. The upper limit of a tribe's true demon strength also determined the ceiling of the demon warriors in the tribe. Previously, the Minotaur tribe had a peak level 4 true demon, but when he was about to advance to level 5, he was killed by a level 5 archmage from the Kane Empire. This caused the Minotaur tribe's strength to continuously decline. Currently, there is only one level 4 expert, the tribe leader, and very few level 3 experts. Therefore, the Mind Flayers at the peak of level 4 was practically their savior. In the next few days, the Mind Flayers enjoyed the support of the tribe. Some female Minotaur even offered their bodies to satisfy the true demon. Mind Flayers refused. Among the demons, the strong were respected. Although Holy Infant was not as important as the Mind Flayers, he was still respected. One day, Holy Infant followed Mind Flayers to the deepest part of the cave. There was a pitch-black demon well here. Surrounded by Minotaur, the Mind Flayers officially became the tribe's guardian. At that moment, the Mind Flayers felt as if they had become the Minotaurs. God! The long-lost demonic aura began to flow into Mind Flayers' body. The shackles of the peak of level 4 had actually loosened. Master, I can feel that my strength might reach level 5 very quickly here. This is a very magical experience. These demons are closely related to me. Every time they absorb a mouthful of demonic aura, a trace will enter my body, Guillermo sent telepathically. Holy Infant sent a voice transmission, you can cultivate here from now on. Attain level 5 as soon as possible. Also, from tomorrow onwards, mobilize your men to help me find the Devil Blood Grass. If there are any hostile tribes or cane mages who intrude, just contact me. The demonic aura here is rather dense, and it's not convenient for me to cultivate. I want to change places to cultivate. Chapter 1223, Spell Divine Talisman. Yes, Master. Just like that, Holy Infant left the Minotaur tribe and found a place with thin demonic aura. He opened up a shelter and set up an array. With the Scarlet Contract, even if Guillermo advances to level 5, he won't betray us. There's no need to worry about that. With a group of free workers, I don't need to look for the Devil Blood Grass myself. I might as well focus on researching the method of making the beast skin here. This way, I can make up for the strength of my Holy Infant clone, and wait for the notice from Arctic Wizard. Holy Infant took out the spoils of war from the female mage and looked at them. Other than the book, Kane's complete collection of divine talisman, there was also the Encyclopedia of Fire Mage spells. It recorded all the fire-type spells from level 1 to level 5 in detail. It was very systematic. There were not many types of spells, and compared to the wizard world, it was simply a drop in the ocean. In essence, Cane Mage's profession was derived from the inheritance left behind by wizards and spellcasters from other civilizations on the Io continent. It could be said that it was pieced together. The wizard's knowledge was the original and Kane's knowledge was a derivation of it. It was very easy for Holy Infant to understand this. This included a mage's magic tool, which was essentially a wizard's wizard tool. No matter what, it's still knowledge. I'll save it first. Other than knowledge, the female mage's spoils of war were only some magic coins from the Empire, as well as casting materials. On the magic coin, there was a drawing of an extremely dignified middle-aged mage surrounded by a circle of holy light. He must be the supreme archmage. Magic coins. Isn't this just a coin made of the ether stone? They even carved the portrait of a supreme archmage. How flashy! Sauron has such great achievements, but he didn't do this on the ether stones, Holy Infant ridiculed. Then, he opened Kane's complete collection of divine talisman. The first supreme archmage created the way of divine talismans. It is said that he comprehended the will of the Io god during meditation. Divine talismans need to be drawn from tree bark or animal skin that is rich in elemental power, supplemented with rare transcendent materials such as beast blood or tree sap. They are formed from spell runes. All the talismans that are triggered at the end must have the written words earth, fire, wind, water, chaos return to one, supreme archmage token. One must note that the power of the divine talisman does not come from one's own body. Only those who believe in the supreme archmage can use the power of the divine talisman. After reading it, Holy Infant frowned slightly. What kind of thing is this? I can't believe I have to borrow an outsider to use it. It's unorthodox. No wonder they can make spell scrolls without using their origin spiritual power. So this divine talisman is just a passageway. The true source of power is the supreme archmage. Initially, he still wanted to learn, but from the looks of it now, it was better to forget about it. He was worried that the supreme archmage might have left something behind in these divine talismans and harmed him. Wait, why can't I try to use myself as the source of power to modify these divine runes? It's equivalent to storing your strength in the beast skin when you're free. When you need it, you can throw it out all at once and when using quantity. The reason why Levi suddenly had a flash of inspiration was because he remembered that when Holy Infant cast a non-burning faction spell, it was essentially using Holy Infant's clone as a channel. What it cast was the power of the original body, and what it consumed was the original body's spell power. The principle was similar to the way of divine talismans. Therefore, Levi had a bold idea. First, he could try to modify the divine talisman and change the source of its power from the Supreme Archmage to a Holy Infant clone or Levi's original body. This way, he could carve the spells mastered by the Holy Infant clone on the beast's skin extensively. For example, he could make hundreds of copies of the Crimson Dragon's Scourge. When he threw them out at the same time, anyone below the primordial soul realm would have to retreat. The second thought was even more ridiculous. Levi felt that the chances of success were very slim. That was to change the source of power to Levi's night body, communicate with the divine talisman to open a channel, and draw in the bloodline seed and blood chi of the original body. Then, in a way similar to a talent brand, copy the original body's night ability into the beast skin, and make the original body the god of the clone. From there, he could use the divine talisman to mobilize the power of a knight. If he wanted to solve this problem, he would have to overcome many difficulties. However, if it was truly realized, then Holy Infant clone would have many methods to travel between planes in the future. It could be said that the strength of the clone would not be weaker than the main body. As for the main body, he could rest assured and cultivate in the wizard tower. The dangerous things would be done by his clone. Thinking of this, Levi's mind spun rapidly. Let's start the research. Whether it succeeds or not, it can open up my train of thought. Time passed quickly. 4 years passed. Year 1190 of the Holy Brilliance calendar, month of the Furnace. Dark Ancient Tower, 4th floor. Currently, other than Levi, who had just celebrated his 200th birthday, there were probably only a bunch of rookies left on the 4th floor. A few ordinary 4th Circle senior wizards had also entered the 5th floor by forming teams. On the isolated volcanic island, Levi was like an old dog, completely unflustered. In the level 5 underground fire, Levi activated his flame dragon's true form and his black scales protected his body. He kept tempering the black substance in front of him at a high temperature that was enough to burn a 5th circle force field. This mass of matter emitted a colorful dreamy black color. Levi kept refining rare materials and adding them into the mix. He had been forging in the volcano for almost half a year. The Nightmare Dragon's Divine Dragon was made of level 6 materials, and it was extremely difficult to forge. In the past 4 years, Levi's state of mind has become calmer and calmer. His spiritual force had already reached 546 points, only 24 points away from perfection. Levi's path of nights had also improved greatly. The Scarlet Dragon breathing technique was not far from advancing to the second transformation of the blood source. If he had not struck while the iron was hot and forged a divine weapon, he might have been able to advance it now. He had waited for more than 6 years for the divine weapon. Naturally, he had to prioritize the divine weapon. On the 5th level, in the Million Mountains, the Mind Flayers had completely adapted to its identity as a true demon. With the endless supply of demonic aura, he was only one step away from level 5. It was a pity that Levi did not get the succubus to follow along. Otherwise, if he had let her cultivate in the Minotaur tribe, she might have been able to advance to level 5. Moreover, Levi had been studying the way of divine talismans through the Holy Infant clone. With Levi's knowledge, there was still hope for him to develop the first type of spell divine talisman. As for the second type of knight's divine talisman, it might take a long time. Of course, it was also possible to have an epiphany and understand it immediately. Furthermore, the collection of devil blood grass had not been delayed. With hundreds of people familiar with the Million Mountains, this was a matter that could be easily accomplished. The devil blood grass that had been collected over the past 4 years as well as the other medicinal herbs and materials was enough for Levi to make potions for decades of cultivation. His goal was to collect enough potions for him to cultivate for more than 100 years. That way, he should be able to push himself to attain perfection in the 5th circle realm and directly reach the primordial soul realm. As for the relic of the Arcanist of Blood, Arctic Wizard still did not inform him. It seemed that the 5th circle array wizard he had hired was only average. After such a long time, that array wizard still had not developed a way to break the array. Just like that, the month of winter came. In front of Levi, a black helmet that looked like a dragon's head appeared. The helmet had distinct edges and corners, and it exuded a domineering aura. Levi ignored the high temperature, raised his helmet, and laughed. After 7 years of tempering, the 6th divine weapon was completed. Chapter 1224, Nightmare Helmet. On the nameless island, Levi dripped his blood into the nightmare helmet. The helmet turned into a black stream of light and entered his body. Then, it perfectly fused with the head of the nightmare dragon seed. The helmet's thick aura complemented the nightmare dragon's dreamy black scale. Perfect. With a thought, the nightmare helmet appeared on Levi's head. A sense of security arose from within. As expected, even someone as iron-headed as me needs to protect my head, Levi muttered to himself. He looked at his current appearance. This was called handsome. He was wearing a black helmet with sharp edges, a black scale armor with black flames wrapped around it, a scarlet cloak that billowed in the wind, a golden shield with 2 dragons circling in his left hand, a world-destroying flame sword carved with a crimson dragon in his right hand, and 3,000 feather blades spread out in the void. The elegant demeanor of a supreme knight could be seen at a glance. He first admired his beautiful face. Then, Levi began to study the nightmare helmet. In his eyes, a black dragon with broken wings streaked across the sky. The nightmare dragon's power surged into his head. At the same time, in the mouth of the black dragon in the nightmare helmet, a formless and colorless concentrated attack wave formed. A level 3 sea beast, black halberd fish, 5 kilometers in front of him suddenly straightened its body and lost its vitality. It was dead. The first function is called Nightmare Dragon's Breath. It uses the power of the Nightmare Dragon to gather my spiritual force into a ray and focus it on the enemy in the distance. With my current level of spiritual force, I can kill anyone below 4th circle in one strike. Even wizards of the same realm as me can be injured as long as their spiritual force does not exceed mine. A moment of absent-mindedness can create an excellent opportunity for me to attack. Levi had learned a few spiritual force attack spells before, but he was not specialized in them. Now, the appearance of the nightmare helmet made up for this shortcoming. The second function of the nightmare helmet was to weaken the enemy's spiritual force attacks and illusion attacks. It was extremely effective against primordial souls, soul possession, mind flayers, and most other nightmare creatures. It could be said that the nightmare helmet and the divine ring tower formed an unbreakable barrier that protected Levi's sea of consciousness, soul, and spiritual force. And this had always been the shortcoming of many transcendent classes. As for the third function, it was related to the material of the nightmare helmet itself, which was the man-faced spider. Levi closed his eyes and spread out his spiritual force. Domain expansion, Heaven's net deceit. In an instant, with Levi as the center, an illusory spider web that covered a radius of several kilometers was formed. Levi was like a hunting man-faced spider, entrenched in the center of the spider web. In the sea, a fish accidentally entered the range of the spider web. In an instant, a terrifying scene appeared in the mind of the fish that had yet to awaken its intelligence. The red and black sky was filled with cracks like a spider web. At the center of the world was a giant spider that was thousands of feet tall and had 8 legs that were like pillars supporting the sky. It was like a god. The spider was like a god that ruled over everything. As it moved, all living beings in the world were entangled by the spider web and could not help but walk toward the god in the center. Not long after, Levi looked around him. On the surface of the sea, tens of thousands of fish and sea beasts were struggling, as if they had fallen into some kind of illusion and could not extricate themselves. With a thought, these fish started to kill each other. Heaven's net deception is a domain skill similar to Ice Dragon Prison, but its effect is to make all living beings within the range fall into an illusion and be controlled by me. In the domain, I will know all the subtle movements of the enemy, predict their attacks, and move. In short, anyone who enters the domain will have their fate decided by me. Mental attack, mental defense, and illusion domain. These 3 functions were all extended functions of the nightmare helmet. Its basic function was to increase Levi's perception range and accuracy by 10%. Of course, as the level of the divine weapon increased, the amplification would also gradually increase. After experiencing countless hardships, the 6 godly equipment is complete. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a complete set effect like you would get in a game. Levi could not help but complain. He was still fantasizing about having a set effect that increased all attributes by 100%, but he was obviously overthinking it. Forget it, I'll stop dreaming. I'll hurry up and cultivate. I'll attain the 5th circle soon. Currently, his spiritual force was only 4 to 5 years away from reaching perfection. Levi already had the lightning melting crystallization technique, which he had taken from Sorit and could assist in the crystallization process. The materials needed for the level 5 breakthrough potion Night Demon's Eternal Darkness had been found after more than 20 years of searching. In addition to his previous material reserves, he had already obtained all of them. However, some of the materials were found by the Holy Infant clone on the 5th level. Therefore, Levi still needed to meet the Holy Infant once more. After getting the materials, Holy Infant continued to do his own things, while Levi found a safe place and began to cultivate in seclusion. After reaching the 5th circle realm, there would be a vast world. After staying in the 4th level for so long, it is time to go out and get some fresh air. Io continent, your 3-headed dragon abomination has returned. Levi immediately started packing. He sealed Sawkins and Leon in the book. Night Fang hid in the shadows. The shrunken transcendent creatures, the flying scythe beasts, and Qing Niao all burrowed into the shell of the giant lobster to hide. Let's go. Levi rushed to the 5th floor. At the entrance of the teleportation portal. Chapter 1225, The Night's Progress. Levi did not make a move. Pixar, open the passage. He cleverly used Pixar's identity as a native to defeat the ones who were guarding the teleportation portal. Then, he took advantage of the time when the water element guards were condensing to enter the teleportation portal. This way, he could effectively avoid being broadcasted. Now that he had more pets around him, he had to be careful. 5th level. Levi sent out the flying scythe beasts and let them enter the wind disaster stratum, flying freely above the vast Io continent. Levi looked towards the south. The Holy Infant clone had already found a place for him to cultivate. Next, I'll have to bring this group of transcendent creatures along with me. I must be careful on the road and avoid fighting. It's fine if they injure me, but they can't injure these little fellows. A few months later, he cautiously arrived at his destination, which was located at the border between the Million Mountains and the west coast. A short 3-foot-tall boy had been waiting here for a long time. We've finally arrived. This place isn't considered a place of convergence and is lacking in resources. However, to me, it's the most suitable place for cultivation. There's no one to disturb me and it's very quiet. He obtained the other materials needed to refine the breakthrough potion, as well as the devil blood grass. Holy Infant left in a hurry and headed to the vicinity of the Minotaur tribe to continue studying the way of divine talisman. Levi, on the other hand, followed his usual habit and directly dove into the uninhabited sea, hiding until the sea dried up and the rocks crumbled. Several days later, he found a small island in the middle of the sea with birds chirping and fragrant flowers. Come, come, come. We'll move into our new house. Everyone, quickly return to your jobs. The transcendent creatures dispersed. Levi, on the other hand, set up an array and opened up a shelter. After doing all of this, he would continue to refine level 5 red, blue, and green potions. He would first use these potions to practice, then refine the demon soul potion for meditation. Finally, when his 5th circle pharmaceutical skills became more proficient, he would start refining the night demon's eternal darkness. Before he started refining the potion, Levi held the 90th round table meeting. He had been busy forging divine weapons, and the meeting that should have been held in the first month of this year was postponed. For this meeting, all 18 official members were present. Among the 3 knights who joined last, Bear Mountain Knight was gone, replaced by a brand new face. Fire Dragon Knight Balin. The Fire Dragon Knight was a 4-meter tall brawny man wearing a crimson armor of flames. The reason why he was so tall was partly due to his natural talent and partly due to the influence of his breathing technique. He was also one of the knights with potential from a few years ago. He cultivated the first-class excellent quality Fire Dragon breathing technique, which was a strength type and fire type technique. It could be said to be the low-level Red Lotus breathing technique, the ultimate low-level version of the Crimson Emperor Dragon breathing technique. Of course, a low-level version of those was relative. Fire Dragon Knight was someone who could unleash his breathing techniques and combat techniques to the extreme. He combined his own breathing technique and created the Fire Dragon 9/his sword skill. He relied on the huge sword that was like a door to defeat Bear Mountain Knight, who was also a strength-type knight. It had to be said that the advantage of the dragon-type breathing technique was incomparable to other breathing techniques. Amongst the knights, excluding Levi, the dragon-type breathing technique already had Ash, Silver Dragon, 100 Flowers, Steel Dragon, Snow Dragon, and Fire Dragon, which made up 1/3 of the total number of knights. Levi felt that the Twilight Knights could be renamed the Dragon Knights. There was nothing he could do about it. Dragons were just so awesome. Of course, this also highlighted the strength of the Pheasant Knight, Feather Knight, and the others. It was even more commendable that they were able to defeat the Dragon Knight challengers in the fierce competition. There was another benefit to cultivating the dragon-type breathing technique. As long as they had enough contribution points, they could easily exchange them for the corresponding dragon blood secret medicine. After all, there were several retired mixed blood dragon clans, and in the ancient Saint Plain, there were many mixed blood dragon clans as well. However, Levi hoped that everyone would be like 100 flowers instead of a bunch of dragon knights. During the years that Levi had been in seclusion, the members had made rapid progress. The Blood Knight was already at the peak of level 3 and was beginning to prepare for level 4. The Ash Knight, who also only cultivated the Path of Knights, followed closely behind. They joined the team later, but the Divine Light Knight who practiced solo was already a level 3 senior. For example, Golden Lion, Saint Ape, Goddess, Black Knight, and the other older generation dual cultivators were already at level 3 senior. The Knights of the Middle Ages, Silver Dragon, and Dark Moon, had also grown and reached level 3. They also began to prepare their own divine weapons. Among the new generation of knights, Flower's Knight was progressing rapidly and was almost at level 3. Levi guessed that the Flower Knight was a primordial soul wizard and had stayed in the legendary Knight realm for hundreds of years. She was knowledgeable and had even cultivated the way of the energy sect. Naturally, she was not slow. On the other hand, as a primordial soul wizard and the top boss of the witch's family, she might have a way to obtain the bloodline essence of the immortal Banyan dragon that was tailor-made for her. That was why she could catch up from behind. As for Andrew, he was a hot shot. He was now a second circle wizard and a second circle knight. Apart from that, the halberd knight had also advanced to level 2. The other knights had also made some progress, but it wasn't something that could be done in a day. They needed to work hard and accumulate experience before they could succeed. At the end of the meeting, Levi listened to everyone's reports on their research results over the years and obtained a lot of new combat techniques and knowledge about the talent brand. After the meeting ended, the knights bid farewell to Levi and returned to their respective posts.